Pruitt, shining wisdom's light, teaching soul tribe how to see through the night. Ancient scriptures and bloodlines she knows, spreading truth wherever she goes. Soul tribe rising, hear her call, raising vibrations for one and all. Dr. Kia shows the way to a brighter, freer day. Through her channel, knowledge flows, breaking chains that hold us close, teaching paths to abundance and wealth, guiding others to free themselves. Soul tribe rising, hear her call, raising vibrations for one and all. Dr. Kia shows the way to a brighter, freer day. From currencies to investments divine, she's helping her tribe to realign with wisdom, ancient and new, showing what we all can do. Soul tribe rising, hear her call, raising vibrations for one and all. Dr. Kia shows the way to a brighter, freer day. Soul tribe rising, hear her call, raising vibrations for one and all. Dr. Kia lights the way to a new and brighter day.
All right, family. Excuse me. Good evening, or as some would say, grand rising. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. So come on in, check in, family. I see people are coming in the room. We are going to talk about a very, very serious topic right now. 614 Tree 6 says, Dr. Kia Pruitt, please keep speaking. We need you. Thank you so much. And I need you. Greetings, family. Greetings. I see you checking in from all over the world. Come on in the room. These are very, very serious times, aren't they? And they're so serious, it's almost hard to smile. It's almost hard to laugh when you think about all the things that's happening behind the scenes that nobody or many people are not talking about. But keep checking in. We're almost at 200. We'll get started when we reach 200. Come on in the room, family. Come on in the room.
How to see through the night, ancient Scriptures and bloodlines she knows, spreading truth wherever she goes. Soul tribe rising, hear her call, raising vibrations for one and all. Dr. Kia shows the way to a brighter, freer day. Through her channel, knowledge flows, breaking chains that hold us close, teaching paths to abundance and wealth.
All right, family.
Guiding others to freedom.
So tonight, we're going to talk about how at some point, and we're reaching that point, we are going to hear an emergency broadcast system announcement. It has gotten to the point where everybody has to be made aware of what's going on in the world. And I'll just give you a little bit about what that's going to look like based on my information. So the Epstein files have been released. Keep checking in, family. I see you all coming in the room. Thank you so much. And I need everybody to understand, if we don't already, that this network of harming children has reached all across the globe. And this has been going on for a very long time, not just for decades or centuries. But as I was talking to my son today, he was mentioning how this was going on in biblical times, and some of you have even talked about it. Chief Mack has talked about it, how harming children, doing very bad things to them, abusing them, torturing them, raping them, sexualizing them, doing hunting parties and offering them, burning them in the fire. This was done a long time ago, and they call it Baal worship, or offering your children to Moloch, right? This has been going on for so long, for so many decades and centuries, that people are kind of numb to it for some reason. It's been going on for so long that even when children come forward and talk about it, and it's so egregious that adults won't listen, or they'll say these children are making up things. If you don't believe me, just think about Allie Carter, how she's been talking about this for nearly a decade on Instagram, how she was passed around to presidents and passed around to entertainers, and how people took her lightly and didn't listen to her and called her names, and how she had to be on a run for almost a decade. She's been talking. So she's popular now, but she was popular 10 years ago when she first came out. It's just that people wouldn't listen to her. And what about foster children that have been saying this for a very long time, that they've been passed around and abused in foster homes, and that they've been sent on missions? So, of course, I would love to talk about money and wealth is coming, and it is. But before it happens, we have to deal with what's going on with our children. This is so serious that there are rumors circulating around social media, that Pam Bondi, the Attorney General for the United States of America, made a statement that if we arrested everybody that was involved in this child XA trafficking ring, if we arrested and prosecuted everybody, the whole system would collapse. Now, when you fact check it, of course, you'll see all of these websites pop up that says, no, that's not true. She didn't really say that. But if she didn't really say it, then why are all Snopes and all these other different platforms saying it's not true? It's not true. We have to squelch that. We have to do away with that. But whether or not it's true that she said it, it is true. And I'll show you just how deep this serious, egregious problem has been in our society. So you look at, when you Google, did Pam Bondi, Attorney General, say that if we prosecute everybody in the Epstein files, the whole system would collapse? You'll get certain things up here. Here's an executive summary that says there's no reliable evidence that Attorney General Pam Bondi uttered the line, if we prosecute everyone in the Epstein files, the whole system would collapse. And a dedicated fact check found no reputable sources for the quotation. Now, congressional reports and live hearing coverage showed that Bondi defended the Department of Justice release, that the decision and sparring with lawmakers has occurred, but none of the major news accounts documented her actually saying that the whole system would collapse. But I'm going to show you how, in fact, the whole system will collapse. I hear you. I hear you. I see what you guys are saying. Okay. Now, some people have a problem with the way she's handling it, and I have a problem with the fact that you have redacted files that were released allegedly, and maybe some names have, been redacted, or maybe we didn't have all the details. I don't know. But I refuse to actually read all the files, because to me it would just hurt me too much. I don't think I could stomach it, family. I don't think I could take it. Betsy Warner says, I met a foster child that was on SRA, now an adult, and has like 16 personalities because of it. Absolutely. Prosperity Speaks says the courts have control of the names, and the names have been hidden. Do you know that CPS, or Child Protective Services, and you can look it up and you can fact check me, they are a part of the largest, they're one of the largest, if not the largest organization that has been involved in the trafficking of children. And in fact, what has happened is many judges would just have their signature on documents for CPS workers to come into the courts, get the judge's signatures without being heard or being no testimony about what's going on. The Child Protective Services workers will walk into many courtrooms, get the judge's signature that had already signed off, and they will take this signature, this blanket statement with a judge's signature, into the home of parents and remove children. In fact, this has happened on such a large scale that in Louisville, Kentucky, many child protective workers and judges were called into question for allowing this to happen. How could this have happened? Because judges, unfortunately, we have to say not all, but some, and attorneys, unfortunately, along with child protective workers, some of them were involved in the trafficking of children. It wasn't just attorneys, it wasn't just judges, child protective workers, other social workers, unfortunately, teachers, presidents, heads of states, bankers. I mean, even Epstein himself is a financier. CEOs of corporations. It has reached way beyond the United States of America. I'm going to show you in a minute. Way beyond this country. You see, Prosperity Speaks says, yep, 100. I worked in mental health for children, for kids. I hear you, the Adept Moore. Let's stop calling them kids. My aunt never, she doesn't allow us to say kids. We have to say children, because goats are kids. Kids are goats. So according to what we're hearing and what we know, judges cannot be sued. Let's look it up. Can judges be sued? Judges are generally protected by absolute judicial immunity. This means they can't be sued for actions taken in their official capacity, even if those actions seem biased or unfair. I want you to see this. This is why we don't know if or which judge, if judges participated or which ones did or how often. But I'm telling you, there's a reason why more than 5,000, in some cases, say 8,000 judges walked out of the Department of Justice recently, just the other day. But look, can I see a judge? Findlaw.com. Judges are generally protected by absolute judicial immunity. That means they can't be sued for no action taken in their official capacity, even if those actions seemed biased or unfair. Judges are typically immune from a lawsuit. You cannot sue judges for actions they took in their official capacity. For example, a judge who decides a case against you can't be sued. Only in rare circumstances can you sue a judge. In order to find out if your situation qualifies in the United States, you'll need to meet with an attorney who's also part of the club, who also is a part of the brotherhood, who also took oaths, because attorneys and judges are one and the same. Judges are attorneys. Some say judges can be sued, but when you look at it, it says judges are not immune when they operate outside of lawful jurisdiction, conspire under the color of law, okay, engage in commercial enforcement without consent. That's what this one says, this article. However, you go on, judicial immunity is a core legal rule that protects judges from being sued for actions they take as part of their job. So it is very, very hard to sue a judge. However, in this reality in which we're living, judges, attorneys, and many, many prelates are under scrutiny. You can even look at resignation.info and you can see the names of heads of states of people that were forced to resign. This happened under President Trump's first administration. Look at resignation.info when you get a chance. But so much has to be told now that these files have been released. And even if these people aren't prosecuted worldwide, many of them have been shamed. And like I said, this is reaching way across the pond. Pam Bondi, the Attorney General here in America, promised aggressive action. However, we haven't seen any public arrests. We haven't seen any public prosecutions. We haven't seen any public hangings or people being brought into or in front of the firing squad yet. But at some point, it's getting to the point where people are getting angry and they want to hear what's going to happen to these people publicly. And if they're not angry yet, they will soon. I'm going to show you this one article here, or at least they should. Absolutely, in the new earth in which we're going, judges, as we know of them, won't exist. Now, real lawyers, people who uphold the law, real judges who judge a situation and make sure people are living by the Constitution may exist, but the judges will be retrained in constitutional law, or they will already be trained in constitutional law. We won't have any attorneys. We will have lawyers. Lawyers and attorneys are different. Lawyers represent and uphold the law according to the Constitution or the laws of the land. Attorneys attorney for you or speak on your behalf, because under the old system, these people in power, these beings, these sick people who harm children, deemed us as dead and lost at sea, lost and dead at sea. They also deemed us as minors, saying we can't speak for ourselves and we need someone to attorney for us. The Adept Moore says the only real judges are Article 3. Other than that, they're administrators. Thank you. If we can find their bar numbers, we would have a chance. To your point, it would still be very, very difficult to sue them. Thank you so much for that. It is very sickening. I agree that they have people in just about every organization that have harmed children. So, as I said, Pam Bondi, the Attorney General, promised aggressive action, but we haven't seen it yet. And so, some people could say it's because a lot of people couldn't take it. Like, imagine hearing that your pastors were implicated, teachers, doctors, lawyers, or attorneys, excuse me, judges, coaches. I remember I reported about this in 2020, and that article actually went viral. I can show it to you. So many people have been involved. So if you make a public announcement, which it's going to have to happen, you got to be prepared for the fallout. You got to be prepared for people just losing it because some people's mothers, fathers, coaches. I mean, when you think about it, you think about girls going away on basketball trips, all girls basketball teams. You think they're not having relations with the men that they go travel with and the women? You think about children going away on field trips. You think they're not being touched? Little boys and girls clubs, you send them away one way, they come back with an appetite for XA and sometimes for the same sex. Why do you think that is? And you're just thinking, oh my gosh, this was just normal. No, some of these babies have been touched. Pam Bondi angrily defends Justice Department's handling of the Epstein files. U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi on Wednesday attacked Democrats and praised President Trump as she faced criticism from lawmakers over the Justice Department's handling of files involving the late financier and convicted XA offender Jeffrey Epstein in a charged hearing before a House of Representatives panel. Allegedly, in this hearing, this is when she said if we prosecuted everybody that was involved, then the whole system would collapse. She had a series of heated confrontations with Democrats on the House's Judiciary Committee as they expressed frustration with the amount of Epstein material department has redacted and withheld, despite a federal law requiring release of nearly all files. And some people are saying that Democrats are angry because they know that Republicans have been implicated just like they have. So what you're going to start seeing is people saying it wasn't just me. It wasn't just liberals. It was Republicans too. It was conservatives too. Because who was this guy named Carlin, a comedian? They're all part of a big club and you and I ain't in it. But what she said is, I'm deeply sorry for what any victim has been through, any victim, especially as a result of that monster. The files have dodged Bondi throughout the tenure as Trump's attorney general after she appeared to promise aggressive action in her first weeks of the job. The Justice Department's decision last summer to initially not release further material sparked a furious reaction from some of Trump's online supporters and helped inspire the surprise resignation from Congress of Republican Marjorie Taylor Greene. She retired or resigned. She had been a staunch supporter of Trump. No evidence Trump committed a crime, Bondi. So somebody asked me the other time, why aren't you implicating Donald Trump? Why aren't you saying anything about him? Listen, I haven't read the files. I don't know who's all involved. To me, it doesn't matter who's involved. If you were involved in harming children, you got to face the same firing squad as the rest, whether you're Republican, Democrat, a man of the cloth, somebody in the kitchen, a janitor. It doesn't matter. If you harm children, you need to face the music. George Carlin said that. Yes, thank you. He was wide awake. So we don't know these people. We don't know any of them. The adept Moore said, like my grandson asked me one day, why is it that you people put your money in the banks? You don't know these people, he asked me. He's 8. And then my granddaughter said, yeah, Granny, you don't know these people. Why do you all? I was like, who's you people? They were like, you. Why do you people willingly turn over your money? She asked my grandchildren. My grandson led the conversation over to strangers. The adept Moore says, just like your grandson or your granddaughter asked, how do we knowingly hand money over to bankers? As parents, we don't know these coaches enough to hand our children over. We don't. Listen, I have seen children that I know who were raised in wholesome homes, Christian, or whether it's Christian or just good moral, upstanding values, start going away to some of these clubs, Boy Scout, Girl Scout, dance clubs, cheerleading clubs. And before you know it, over a process of time, short process of time, they become highly sexualized. And I'm like, you weren't raised like this. Or they have an appetite for sex, or they come out. Oh, I realized, I discovered that I like the same sex. But they're secretive about how it happened and what happened. And, so you're like, well, maybe they were born this way, and some of them may have been. We all have male and female proclivities, right? We're all both male and female. But what we don't know is how some of these babies were turned out at the gymnastic competition. Think about your daughters, your cheerleading daughters, wearing these little scantily clad shorts and skirts that come all the way up to their nana. And people think it's cute, and they're twirling and twisting and dancing and shaking and hooray and doing flips. You don't think some of them are being touched by not only the young boys that they're cheerleading for, but the coaches? Think about sending in little boys and little girls on these trips and competitions without the parents there. Where are they staying? It's coming out now that a lot of young ladies that were in sports were actually having relationships with their coaches. Like that's some big news. Like, what are we doing as parents? Think about sending your little daughters and sons to model across the stage. What are they modeling across the stage for? Where do you think this concept came from? I learned from a woman who's a full woman now, who became part of the sex industry, how it all started. Young girl, modeling, some cute little clothes. Mommy came, right? Then mommy gets to meet all the people that's in front of the camera, look so harmless. And mommy gets to meet them. Oh, nice guy, nice man. Oh, they're so nice. And then mommy maybe goes to lunch, or mommy says, okay, I'll drop you off. I got to meet these people. They're okay. Then this young lady says to me, well, it started off, I'm just a young girl. I'm dressing, and, people taking these grown men taking pictures. And sometimes the grown women say, oh, you look so pretty. Let me put a little makeup on you. These little girls, what are we doing? Okay, now you're going to put on a bathing suit. You're going to be in a bathing suit competition. What are we doing? Showing their butt, their bottom cheeks, and some of them their breasts are budding. And what are we doing as parents? Let's really think about this. So the young girls are parading, just taking nice little innocent pictures. Then maybe mom and daddy don't come the next time, and you might have a swimming suit or bathing suit on, and they might say, oh, you look so cute. Now let's drop a little, just a little string here. Or, we're just going to detach a little bikini string on the side. It's harmless. Or we might even drape you with a towel, and we'll just have a little peekaboo while we're snapping pictures, and the music is going, and I'm snapping pictures, and then they tell me to take off the towel. Then the next thing I know, they tell me to take off the bra. But it's harmless. I can cover my nipples. As long as I cover my nipples, I'm not showing everything. And then before I know it, I'm topless. I'm nude. And now it's just a secret between me and the cameraman, because now I'm making money, and now I'm pretty, and they're telling me how beautiful I am, and everybody's looking, and I'm just, just taking a few pictures. So I asked, what about your friends? How did they get started? They got started as foot models. We just show off our toes. That's it. It's harmless. They take pictures of our toes and our feet. Next thing we know, we're learning that these feet pictures are being sent to some sick person who likes looking at feet. And now they're paying us a lot of money and they're saying, oh, you can just be a foot model. And then that turns into being a full model. And then before you know it, you're not just a model. Now they're telling you you can be another type of model. What do you think runway models are? Grown men had to tell me what these runway models are. Women that are being paraded across the stage for men with money to actually auction. I want to pick that one for XA. This is the secret they don't tell you about while we're parading our little girls in front of grown men and cameras and our little teenagers. And then when parents try to warn them and tell them, please beware, then the parents will fight you. But now it's coming out. These models, these young babies and young girls who thought they were just doing something that was cute. Like, why are we putting them in front of cameras anyway? To take pictures and model and showing them off. And then it escalates. Then the cameraman becomes the imp pay. Speaking in pig Latin, I can make you a little more money. But first, in order to make you feel a little more comfortable about what you're doing, because you feel a little nervous, why don't you just take a drink or take a pill? Next thing you know, the child get hooked to pills and alcohol. And then it escalates to what? Being a model for the big screen, the television, and they become porn stars. And next thing you know, they're dancing on bars and becoming I'm just a dancer twirling down a bar. Then they escalates into prostitution. All because we thought it was cute. I'm not trying to make anybody feel bad to hand our daughters over to strangers and our sons to become a cute little JCPenney model. I'm telling you what I've heard from young girls who became sex workers in Nevada, where it became legal. Why did it become legal? Because you have people on the land that's not supposed to be, who brought their ratchet debauchery and sin and lascivious behaviors on the land. That's why. You have people from all different cultures and lands and backgrounds who bought up land here. Nevada and many of those casinos aren't even owned by Americans for the most part. They're owned or were owned by Saudi princes for the most part, and many other people that are not American. So the debauchery was allowed to happen. And that's why Nevada became known as Sin City, because you had people on the land here. Then the Bible tells you, and many cultures tell you, stop participating with different peoples and their cultures, because when you do, you embrace their gods, meaning you embrace their behavior and their ways. So with some of these people from different cultures and different lands that teach us, okay, y'all know who some of these people are. It's okay to harm children. They bring that foolishness over here. They bring that foolishness and take it to different lands and different countries. Y'all read the books that says it's okay to marry a 3-year-old and a 2-year-old. You know what marry means. They bring that onto your lands, and then some of us, whether you participate or not, knowingly or unknowingly, have become involved through tacit agreement. What do you mean, Dr. Pruitt? I mean, if you watch pornography, you're watching somebody's little girl perform ratchet behavior. And let me tell you about a lot of these, what people are calling underage, or what they call them, underage women, because they want to confuse your mind. They'll call them underage and then women at the same time, because what they're really saying is teenagers or underage girls. What many sheriffs have discovered is that a lot of these women that are in a on pay industry, in the sex industry, in the movies that people are addicted to now, they're actually trafficked young women, trafficked ladies, trafficked grown women, trafficked girls. Whether they've been trafficked here because they were homeless or because they started off as innocent little models and it escalated, or they were promised a dream from another country. And when they were paraded up on the trucks and on the airplanes and brought into America, and they came up out of the trains and out of the airplanes and out of the back of the trucks and out of the trunks of the cars, they were pushed into the sex industry, in the porn industry. I'm begging you, I'm imploring you to please do all you can to not watch X-rated films and pornography. Because not only is this feeding the industry and harming the young women, because if there's a buyer out there, they're going to keep doing it, but it's harming the marriages. Because the things that you or her, she or he watch on television, you're going to expect your companion to do. And your companion's not letting you go through the back door, which is a way of the heathen. I don't care that it's become part of the culture to do anal sex. I don't even care. And I know that what happens in the bed stays in the bed. And the Bible says, as long as it's in the marriage bed, it's undefiled. But some of these behaviors that we started doing, anal sex, even we used to not even do oral sex. I'm not telling anybody what's right or wrong. I'm telling you, when we were children, if you are 50 and over, all this stuff, bestiality, having sex with multiple people at the same time, harming children, going through the back door, going through people's ears, doing all this sick stuff, it was considered egregious. It was considered against the culture. But people are on the land that's not supposed to be on the land, and they brought their ways. What you could call it wicked or not. Maybe you might call it good, or maybe it feels good, or maybe it's normalized. But because a lot of people started experimenting with other people and other cultures, it became normalized. We didn't used to have pornography. We didn't used to have all this filth in the magazines. We didn't used to have sex being exposed in all the movies and all the music. The music is so horrible. Every other word is about popping this and popping that and exposing a moose nut. It's what are we talking about? And we got a little girls twirling and doing acrobatics and gymnastics to it and cheerleading to it, and our young men singing, and everybody's popping bottles and talking about being in love with strippers because we've embraced the gods and cultures of other people. I was just telling my son today, because we were talking about this earlier, talking to a couple of my sons, I said, I'm old enough to remember when there were certain things that go on now in the music, in the bed, in marriages, in the hallways, in the bathrooms, in the schools, was unheard of. But there were certain women who brought their behaviors to these lands that the men just had to taste. Forbidden fruit, just had to experiment with. When they got turned out, they brought that home and told their women, their wives, to do it, because now the appetite had grown. This is why, grandma, you could get upset all you want. I don't care what bloodline you come from, what family history, what dynasty, what country. People in your bloodline, in your family will tell you there are certain things we don't do. I don't care where you come from. And if you participate in that behavior and you marry strange women or strange men, people from other outside cultures, they're going to bring that behavior to the bedroom, to the marriage, to the culture. Now it's become sexualized. It's become normal to let your little girls go on field trips. It's become normal for little girls to wear bikinis. It's become normal for grown women to walk around on the beach with all their breasts exposed and their vagina hanging out, and but as long as it's shaved and waxed, it's okay. They don't even care that somebody's husband is looking. They don't even care about the children on at the beach and at the pool. Women have just lost their minds, just become so self-absorbed. They don't care that the men are looking. They don't care about, well, you shouldn't have looked. They don't care that the children are looking. They don't even just leave it to the beach with all the vaginas and butt cheeks hanging out and a thong all up there behind, and you see all the butt cheeks all restrict. I'm just bathing in the sun, just tanning. Your parents did not teach you that. Your ancestors didn't. Your elders didn't. Your pastors, your leaders, your prelates. I'm talking about the good moral ones did not teach you that behavior. We picked it up from other cultures. And now it's normalized. And now all we can say is, where my money, where my money, where my money? Are you going to talk about the GCR? Where my money? Are you going to talk about the foreign currencies? Children be damned. I need my money. Can you see where we've come? Of course, not all of us. I'm just saying as a society. I don't care if you're the president of the United States, the vice president of the United States, an entertainer, a banker, a pastor, a doctor, an attorney. I don't care who or what you are. If you have harmed children, you need to be dealt with, and we should be angry. I'm going to show you just a little bit how bad this is, how bad this has gotten. Yeah, we picked it up from mainstream. Okay. I know you all have seen this before. I'm going to show you a clip in just a minute, but for those of you who haven't seen this resignation.info list, notable resignations worldwide, this was in 2017. So you know a lot more people are here. And it may have been expanded, this list, since 2017. 14,309 resignations, 13,744 people. Oh, you can see you can see the latest dates are 2023. 10,000 organizations in 171 countries forced resignations. Ask yourself why they were forced to resign under President Trump's first administration, starting from 2017. Because you see right here, it says on December 22nd, 2017, Q asked us to track CEO resignations. That's from Q post number 413. So the reason why Q asked certain people to track resignations is because we had a notable resignation list in 2016 and 2017, but it had expanded so large. It was just on some type of Excel spreadsheet. I used to have it. That now somebody actually went and made a website of it. World Bank leaders, government of South Africa. You see that? CEO of YouTube, the commissioner of the Canadian Police Department, the government of Moldova. You see the prime minister of Moldova, prime minister of New Zealand, CEO of Hastings, which is Netflix Incorporated, government of Vietnam, the president, who else? The defense minister of Germany. You just keep going down here and look. It says Benjamin Netanyahu was on a forced resignation list in 2017. So who's this person pretending to be Benjamin Netanyahu right now? I keep saying these people are masked people. I keep saying we even know there are many, many versions of Trump. Hey, John F. Kennedy Jr. also know if David Keith Quigley told us the real one died in 1989. Baba Dick Gregory said there were two Trumps. Benjamin Forford said the real President Trump died in 1989. I don't know who is who the character that's playing him right now, but a lot of them that we see now are just masked people playing a role in the Truman Show, trying to wake everybody up. You see a lot of people, okay? But you see people from the white, okay, here you go. These are the names, top 5 resignations: Benjamin Netanyahu, Brad Anderson, Kwesi Ntanki, James Baker, Jeremy Ross. And here are all resignations by people. Here are all resignations by organizations: the White House, UKIP, Government of Great Britain, U.S. Department, State Department, U.S. Department of Justice, all resignations by organizations in this column, all resignations by country in this column. Here are the top countries whereby we had, or in which we had, resignations: United States of America, the UK, Canada, Australia, China. Resignations by countries in this category. Here you go. The reasons: resign, resignations, retired, fired, unalived, term ended. Here are the branches: healthcare, politician, ministers, CEOs of banks, and heads of police departments. Here you go. What are the positions? CEOs and presidents, directors, chairmen, board members. This was in 2017. Do you think that this is by happenstance, that people were forced to resign under Trump's first administration? It's not, because he said then that he had executive orders that would freeze the assets of people that were involved in crimes against humanity. Somebody said, I'm on fire today. It's hard not to be angry about what's happening to our children. It's hard not to be angry about how this has happened across the globe for centuries, how our children have been missing for so long. I'm seeing if I can find a paper that I published. It's a cover. Let's see. COVID is a cover. There we go. I'm going to show you something that I did that went viral a long time ago. But before I do, let you hear what somebody from the military says about how deep this harming of children has occurred. And I'm going to show you how it's gone on all across the globe. I'm going to show evidence. But first, let's listen to this gentleman.
They have dinner tables with pregnant women.
Let me start it from the beginning. I apologize.
Literally, they have dinner tables with pregnant women getting on the table.
Oh, sorry.
Literally, they have dinner tables with pregnant women getting on the table with plates as the woman delivers the baby onto a plate for the individuals at these dinner tables. They're feasting. If that's not disturbing enough, there's so much more deep stuff that they haven't found yet. There's 3 million pages. And trust me, we, the people who are working on it, we're all working on it. We're all looking. This is going to have ties to every government official, cop, politicians, all the people at the Grammys. I mean, everybody. There's going to be so many people. It's going to get sickening. And this is 100,000 times worse than the dark web. There, for instance, like Roblox, there's 46,000 cult organizations watching your kids on your iPads on Roblox in the United States of America. And what's in the Jeffrey Epstein files, there's over hundreds of thousands of cult organizations in it. I'm telling y'all, it's bad. It's real bad. Every school in America where your kid goes to school, there's an organization with the Jeffrey Epsteins. It's not just the Jeffrey Epsteins. Trust me, there's somebody in his shoes right now. But that organization, they have a deal for every school in the United States of America where your kids go. Literally, when they take their picture for the yearbook, right, sends to that every school district to that one specific place. They look at every one of them. They have a team of them, and they pick the ones they want, last names, family trees, real deep. And it's sick. And they'll pick some of them out, and they'll just disappear from these schools. You'll never see them again. We'll never see them again. So, like, every day that you get up and go to work, I just want you to know that's what's on my mind now. It'll never leave my mind unless we do something. The Constitution of the United States states that you can literally overthrow your government. And I'm sorry, but I think this generation's gotten soft. And I'm 29 years old, and I've lived through 6 years of world record inflation. And now they dropped this on us before the Super Bowl. Now, we knew it was going to be bad, but I mean, this should be an awakening. This is the worst of the worst. If we don't do something, I don't know what to say, but I can't continue to feed this crap. I'm ready. I'm prepared for anything. And we could all stand united. Doesn't matter if you're Republican, Democrat, conservative. This should reunite all of us. Right now, instead of ready for work Monday, we should all be in the street. I mean, where you live right now, the street is right there. We could all walk on the street. We could all use our voices. We could all do something instead of feeding the system with this shit. I just can't do it no more. I can't. But I'm ready. I need to know where the real men are, the old school cast. And I'm talking about all colors, Mexicans, blacks, whites, all colors, Indians, you name it. I'm ready. Count me in. I'm ready. I'm literally ready. I'm ready to go. And I'm ready to mess some people up with our United States Constitution. I'm ready to mess some people up. And not scared to death. Not scared to death. And nobody should be. I think this is our calling. If you're alive, I think this is our calling. I think it's time. I think it's time for us to take action. They'll say violence is never the answer. Well, you know, when you push a dog to the corner so bad, eventually it'll bite back. And I think this is our shot, people. I think this is our shot to kick in doors and kick in teeth. I think it's time to make action for us. I think we could do it. And when we do it, shit, let's all take a vacation the rest of our life. You know, we don't have to work like a slave like we all have been for all these years with this indoctrination, school system, hospitals, 18 years wasted of your life at school. And then they tell you to go to college and you're in debt until you're 90 years old. I'm ready, yo. I'm ready. Where y'all at? Where's everybody at? Where y'all at? I'm ready.
You know what's interesting is that he was saying when our children play the games like Roblox, you know, you think it's just an innocent game, that the children are actually being watched. And he said when our children are taking school pictures, they have companies like the company by the name of Life Touch. Why is it called Life Touch? Why would you have touch in there when it comes to children? These companies, according to this gentleman, according to testimony, would then send these pictures. You know how we dress our kids up on picture day for pictures? We thinking it's for the family album. They will send it to Jeffrey Epstein and to judges and attorneys and to anybody who wants to. And the children will look at the picture. I mean, the adults will look at the pictures and determine which child they want. They'll look at the picture, they'll examine the bloodline of the child, the family tree, all that, and they'll take those children and they'll never come back home again. We've also heard stories and testimonies from children that are now adults that have come forward and said that they remember, especially if they were in, many of them that were in a gifted program, they remember being given certain foods or certain tablets or certain drinks. And then they would go away because many of the gifted programs, certain other programs are away from the home school, or they will come out of the home classroom and go into the same school building after they're given a drink or a tablet. And then they don't remember what happened after that. But as adults, they start having dreams and nightmares, or they start remembering that they took a drink or a tablet. And something happened to them and they start having flashbacks of being raped and molested and going child hunting parties or being sent to presidents to give different messages or being sent to entertainers like Ali Carter has told us this. Some adults have other adults that are part of gifted programs have said this. And what they discovered is that they were given something as children, sent away and abused, and then they don't remember because of the tablet they took or the drink that they took. Or they might have had certain things done to them where they, people are examining their bodies and just having their way with them. Then they're given another drink or another tablet and they come to, but they forgot about all the stuff that happened to them. They come to, and when they come to, they thought they were on the field trip. But it's not until years later that they remember that something happened to them when they were out of it. This is why you have people like Chief Rod Hayes, known as Chief Pontiac, and some other people saying, please remove your children from their systems. But what they have done is they've gotten us very busy so that we and stressed out from all the bills so that we have to work, right? And when you have to work, you have to send your kids, you feel, to the daycares or to the school system, and you don't know what's happening while they're there. But according to this gentleman, some children never come home. And you know what? It was just a couple years ago, like maybe 2 or 3 years ago, where I used to live in Louisville, Kentucky, where they were having problems with transportation. And since they were having problems with the transportation system and they said that nobody would come to work and, run the bus systems, a lot of times the kids that would be dropped off at home by 3 o'clock or maybe at the latest 4 weren't getting home to 10 and 11 o'clock at night. And parents were wondering, where are my children? You can look that up. They were wondering what happened to my children. And so what the report said, according to reporters and presidents and principals, mayors and all this, they were saying, oh, in the Jefferson County school system, we didn't have enough workers. So that meant that the children couldn't make it home on time. 10 or 11 o'clock at night, the parents were outraged. Who knows what was happening to their children? And some of them were like, I don't know where my kids are. Some people were like, I haven't seen my kids, my children, excuse me, at that more. I haven't seen my children. This is really, really serious. So we have to protect the children at all costs. And if you don't think some of these judges or administrators are involved, then let me read you this article right quick. This happened in Louisville, Kentucky. Kentucky social workers are failing to have courts properly scrutinize and approve the drastic step of taking some children from their homes. CPS workers, child protective workers, were failing to have the courts to properly approve of having children removed from the homes. They relied instead on blank removal orders with pre-signed judges' signatures, which is illegal according to several attorneys and judges. Illegal. It's not even something they're supposed to do according to their own legalities, statutes, and codes. How did this happen? The allegations, which involve cases of purported parental abuse or neglect, purported, supposed abuse and neglect from the parent, have prompted numerous complaints to judges and state officials. Maybe this is why a lot of judges are stepping down from the Department of Justice. They revolve specifically around the state cabinet for health and family service workers using pre-signed emergency custody court orders to remove children on weekends and after the courthouse is closed for the day. So on the weekend, when the courthouse is closed and after hours, the social workers would go to the judge's chambers and get pre-signed statements that hadn't even been seen. The children hadn't testified. No parents had come before the courts. No social workers had come before the courts. They took these pre-signed statements and went into parents' home and removed their children. Where there is debate over whether the actions violate Kentucky law, state and local officials acknowledged to WDRB News that the practices aren't ideal. And on Friday, the cabinet abolished them. Workers now must send an order to the judge to see and electronically sign. But how long had that been happening? Previously, copies of the blank orders with signatures from Jefferson District Court judges were left at the home of the innocents. That's a place, it was like a group home or some place where a lot of children are housed on Market Street, and filled in by cabinet workers, giving them the power to remove children without a judge reviewing the allegations written on the order or filling out other necessary documentations. But yet the judges had pre-signed them. Okay, so we're not going to act like the judges didn't notice what's happening. The system that is currently set up allows for the social workers to call an on-call judge on the phone and then fill out the order themselves, a blank order with the judge's signature on it. Attorney Karen Faulkner said in an interview before the March 15 policy change, children are being illegally taken from their homes without judges' proper authority. Yet the judges did sign them though, right? Pre-signed. We're not going to just put this on the social workers. This was March 18, 2019, when it was reported. I reported on it when that happened. Are you angry? Because I am. Maybe I need to just chill out. Yeah, I just need to chill out. They're traffickers. How, family? I'm going to put this in the chat for you. How has this been allowed to happen to our children? What are we going to do about it? Are we going to continue to hand over our children? And let me tell you something about this CPS workers. This is what I learned, because first I was an unofficial foster parent, which meant that in the neighborhood, in my community, in the community in which I grew up, if there was a family that couldn't take care of your children, you just would scout out families that love children, or had a lot of children, or were good with children, and you would ask them to help you. So there were many times when I helped raise children. I remember I had 3 boys. I had just had my first son. I got married at 18. At 19, I had my first son. But there were 3 boys who had a intact family, a father and a mom, but they divorced. And she moved on to Cleveland. She had some serious issues. He had to work. He couldn't take care of his children. So they were looking around. They were like, oh, she loves children. She's good with children. I used to work in youth ministry. I used to work with children. I was a missionary. I had a husband. I had a home. My husband, I was 19. He had bought me a 3-bedroom home. We had a good life. So we took care of 3 children, and we became foster parents. And then the community just would give you food and clothes and, whatever you needed. As times went on and it evolved, and then I started watching more and more children. I fostered so many children. I don't even know how many now. But I said, let me go ahead and get certified. Well, once I got certified as a foster parent, what I saw and what I learned, first of all, in the training as a foster parent, you are trained that children, especially in the foster care system, they are traumatized, and they will make up. This is what they tell you. They will make up abuse cases in order to leave your home. Now, I'm not here to say if that's true or not, but I thought that was pretty sick, to teach us to not believe the children. And so when I sat and I listened to the children would tell me stories. I'm like, they couldn't possibly make this up. Why are they smearing poop on the walls? They're smearing poop on the walls because they're traumatized. They're urinating all over the bed because they've been raped home after home. And then what I learned from some of the social workers, they were like, oh, we're so happy to have a Black woman to be part of the foster care system, because we have Karen over here that we usually just give all the little Black babies to. We just usually give her all the little Black babies because we didn't have many Black families. And since you asked for the little Black kids, we're going to give them to you. And you know what? I don't know why they felt so comfortable telling me this. And you know what? Karen's our buddy. And we just give her all the kids. So I didn't know much about Karen. But what I did learn is that a lot of social workers give the children over to their buddies. Them doesn't matter what complexion they are. They give them over to their buddies, so their buddies can make lots of money. And it's not even that they make a lot of money, but the more children you get, to me, You don't even make enough, really. But the more children you get, the more money, the more prestige. And then what I came to learn is that some of them are doing like heinous things to these children. And it was like a network. I was like, now, I didn't get that from the social worker. I got that from the children. Oh, when we went to Miss Karen's house, she and her husband did this. And then they sent us there. Then they sent us here. Then they sent us there. Then that happened to me and that happened. I'm like, what? And if you cry or complain, they will send the children out of state. Oh, I used to be buddy buddy with them as long as I would take 5 children and I would take the little black children off their hands. And then I was the type, I said, I didn't care what children, I want all children. But if you can't, you have some children classified as black that can't be placed, give them to me. Even if they from the group home, I know how to handle them. I got a whole community behind me. But what I started learning was that some of the things that was happening to these children was allowed to happen. So I started speaking up. Then I wasn't a friend anymore. Then I wasn't the star foster mother anymore. Then they started taking children away and saying they no longer wanted me to work. Because I was like, why is it that every time the child come back to me after y'all send it, and even the child's having a good life with me, y'all send it, just keep bouncing these children around. Then when they come back, they start telling me stuff that happened and I'm going to report it. You're telling me not to believe them. I'm not able to do that. I need to have Karen and this person and George and Judge so-and-so and this person over there and teacher so-and-so and minister so-and-so brought in for questioning. Because I'm concerned. I'm a mandated reporter, remember? But I told you, some of the people that they report to are involved. Again, I'm from Louisville, Kentucky. I can only tell you what I know. There was a child who was actually assaulted in a group home so bad. After he was assaulted, he was then beaten and abused because they are allowed. They'll tell these workers if the children scream or cry or, get out of character, because sometimes children, they have episodes where they get frustrated or angry. Oh, just put them in a hold. Well, the holds that you put them in can be very, very dangerous. Well, after this child was assaulted, the child was put in a hold and the child was choked out. Well, before, a lot of these children in foster homes and group homes, things could happen to them and nobody would know about it or talk about it because all the workers would just, be hush hush. Sometimes the other workers didn't know about it. But also because they didn't have family members, because sometimes they were put aside into group homes or put aside in foster homes. Sometimes parents would drop them off. I saw this when I worked at psychiatric hospitals. I saw parents literally drop their children off in a psychiatric hospital so they could go on vacation. I saw that in West Virginia, Huntington, West Virginia. And these teenagers would talk about it. My mom dropped me off because she wants to go on her vacation, put me in a psych ward because I didn't want to be, because I said I didn't want to come. So they classified me with oppositional behavior disorder, oppositional defiant disorder, ODD. Y'all know about that if you work with this diagnostic statistical manual, the DSM-3 and 4. And if these children have episodes or they cry or they scream or they start pooping and doing all type of stuff to let out their frustration or maybe even to get attention, I don't know, they put straight jackets on them and inject them in a psychiatric hospital and in some of these group homes. So when this one guy unalived a child, they thought they were going to sweep it under the rug because they thought nobody cared about the child. He'd been in a group home all his life. Well, it just so happened he had a great uncle who was a wealthy great uncle who discovered that the child that had mysteriously been unalived was unalived in a group home. And so he investigated and it come to find out, by golly, he was blood related to the child and he sued the place and the place got shut down. Eventually, after decades of rumors of this place harming children. So I need to talk about something light. Sister Janine says, I had a neighbor that happened to her with her foster child. They came to take him from her home, and he said if they do, he would delete himself. She loved him like her own. He was well with her family. They just come and take them. Arlene, thank you, Sister Arlene says, I witnessed this in school as a teacher's aide. I was advised to resign from the superintendent of the district because I reported it, but they were all a part of it. You see this? The school system. I don't even know what to tell you, but I can tell you, we're not going to say names, some of you, but there have been people that reported that in the juvenile detention centers, some of these boys are being molested, by grown men in a juvenile detention, not only molested, or bothered or raped, but they're also brutalized, experimented upon, beaten unmercifully, because who they gonna tell and who's gonna believe them and who's gonna care if they're in a detention center, which is like a jail for young men. And of course, sadly, they did it worse to the young men of color. It's horrible. Sister Regina said, Dr. Pruitt, is much worse than you think. It's much more to it. The children, they're just a small part of it. Christiana says, Putin shut down all adoptions to the United States after little Max was unalive. He had enough lithium for a 6 foot, 200-pound man. My God. So what are we supposed to do if we have to go to work, if we have to go to school? We got to do something, because we cannot trust these strangers. We don't know who people are. They can even pass background tests, background checks. They could change their identity, or they might not pass the background check. So let me tell you what I learned by working in the higher education system was that a lot of presidents and administrators on college campuses are known to have had relations with the young people. Now, people can say, oh, but those young people that go to college, they're adults. There are young adults who, some of them have been coerced into relationships, and still is unethical for a professor to have a relationship with an 18-year-old who may or may not know what they're getting themselves involved in, or sometimes coerced, or sometimes, encouraged into it. But there have been cases where some of the young men have literally been raped by presidents and college administrators. It doesn't matter if it's a PWI, predominantly white institution, or an HBCU, historically Black college or university. It happens to many young people and many college campuses. And I know because I worked in higher education. So what they do to chastise them is they just send them to another college. You can't even fraternize. You can't even, as a department chair, have sexual relations with somebody that is your subordinate. That's unethical. You would be removed from your department chair or your high position if you're not demoted in other ways. Now, they might not fire you if you have tenure. So what do you think they're going to do if it's a young person? Maybe some of these young people agree, maybe they don't. All they do is they just transfer them to another university. And then it's been brought out because some of the young men finally came out and told the professors who would tell it, I was coerced into XA because when I went on the field trip thinking I'm going to room up with my buddies, the administrator tells me when I check in my room, I'm going to be in a room with him. And if I tell it, I'm going to be in trouble. Or if I tell it, then I'm going to have all my grades dropped. And so I slept in a separate bed and he coerced me into his bed. HBCUs, just like the PWIs, historical Black college university, just like the predominantly white institutions. Do you know what happened? I'm thinking of a specific case. There are several that I can mention, but one specific case that I know of, the gentleman the young people that it happened to confided in a young a staff member who was also a professor there. He went and he told it, and that guy got fired because he was like, hey, the young men are being coerced into XA and they're being molested or coerced or it strongly encouraged. And some of the young men, because they have some of them might like the same sex, they might be homosexual, so the men are like, oh, you like this anyway. The people who had the nerve and the strength and the integrity to tell it got fired and are fighting to this day over years over years to be compensated for being unrightfully fired. Thankfully, at least one of the young men who this happened to was able to sue the university. But do you think the principal or the administrators that were involved think anything happened to them? Nah, some of them just got transferred. The other one, nothing happened to. You know why? Because many of them are all part of secret societies. If you are a president of a university, you're probably a part of the Boule, the Black Greek fraternity, or a white Greek fraternity, secret society. Unless it's just some private organization or part of some church or something you started. More than likely, if you are a president or high up in some of these many of these organizations, you're part of secret societies. And the way you move up is by performing certain acts. It's evil. It's sad. And I agree with Russ. I don't care who they are. They all need to go. We should not have anyone that do this to children. 50 years of doing this to our babies and to Black babies. Babies classified as Black, baby classified as white, babies classified. They don't care. For some reason, though, I have read that they prefer, even the Queen, British Queen, preferred indigenous children, colored children, children of color. In fact, she was posthumously charged for raping indigenous children in Canada because they thought they had unalived all of them, but one got away and told it. Indigenous meaning colored, classified as Black. One of them got away and told it. That the Queen and some of her court had gotten all these Canadian indigenous children, had them at child hunting parties, dressed them up and had them running around. Y'all heard about them doing that in Hollywood. They would run around terrified because when you're terrified, you emit a psychic energy called loosh. And these beings, as somebody said in the comment section, some of them aren't even human. Some of them are Cabbage Patch Kids. Some of them are created in labs and test tubes. Some of them have genetics of other entities. Some of them are hybrids with other entities, extraterrestrials and other things and animals mixed with humans. They feed off the psychic energy that people emit when they're terrified. So they will have these children in child hunting parties where they will hunt them and chase them after they dress them up as adults and dolls and little things and Halloween costumes and all that. They would then in the middle of the night chase them, have all these sounds in the woods and all that. Maybe even gave them some pills before that. And the kids are are terrified. You emit a psychic energy called loosh, and that's what these beings eat. They absorb it like food. They get off on it. Then they drink their, the red part that come from the body, because that helped them to be younger or to live longer, and they take the organs they did. And after they actually assaulted them, it's the same thing they do when they have you terrified watching a scary movie, or when they have you angry about the things that they stage on TV, like the unaliving of people. Usually when something goes viral, mass murders, unaliving of a man classified as Black, even though some of it is real, usually if it goes extremely viral, it's because, from what we heard, they have crisis actors acting it out. And now we know about AI. I kept saying they have a way of making things look real. That's not. People wanted to tell us we were crazy. Now AI is showing us things and we don't look so crazy anymore, do we? And the reason why they allowed this to happen, stuff to go viral, unaliving, they put it on your television screen. They tell you it's fun to watch scary movies because they want you to become terrified or very, very angry and emit that psychic energy that they eat or absorb called loosh. This is also what we emit when we're extremely stressed out from paying all these bills, from worrying when our next meal is going to come from being afraid because people you might be living on the streets, from being worried about anything. They would emit loosh. People are saying they witness a lot of this we're talking about in the schools. Christina says Texas Juvenile Justice Center had a huge racket running with politicians, etc. So what am I saying? I'm saying this is egregious. These people who have unalived our children, I agree, Sister Mars, they have no soul. But there's something we can do. Yes, this is what they would take from our children in order so they can live on. There's something that we can do. It is global. Number one, the torso of Thomas. I got to hear. Well, I haven't heard about that. Number one, we can remove our children from this system. We don't have to have them going to competitions and participating on field trips. And if they do, if we desire for them to do that, we should go. We should be one of the ones who go to watch the children. Hollywood labels it special effects to make it acceptable. Yes, a lot of these things we see on TV and on television, I agree. But this has always been about the children, Sister Janine says. Oh my God. Osiris, the god, said that, well, he says respect, but Eon says 8 million babies go missing or disappear every year. Groovy Courtney says, I actually remember being in church once, and this group of troubled children, or maybe they were foster, had a cup of a greenish bluish substance that they had to take. I'm hearing a lot of people say that they remember when I reported on that, I did a clip of me reporting about children taking these drinks. It went viral on Facebook and Instagram because all these different people started speaking up in the comment section saying it happened to them. It happened to them. I remember taking this drink and then I didn't remember what happened. I lost a couple years. I lost a couple days, I can't remember what happened after that. I agree with Malcolm. We can start our own competitions, our own contests, our own sports clubs, our own girls and boys clubs. We can train our children. A lot of people say, I don't know what would I teach them if I teach them at school. You remember what we learned? If you're 50 and above, reading, writing, and arithmetic. Science, wasn't really that important. You learn some. You learn social studies, but what is social studies but his story? Whose story? His story. You can't tell your own story, your family story. Talk about your family tree. Talk about Big Mama, Big Papa. Talk about your great grandparents. Talk about the city, the state, the country in which you were born. That's your story. Talk about your culture, your family culture. Create a mission for your family, a vision statement, a mission statement. What's our purpose here? Teach your children that they need to have a mission or a purpose. Ask them what their purpose is. Hone their skills, help them with their purpose. This is your mission. This is what you came to do. And then look at your family mission statement. What is the mission of our family? What is our purpose here? It should be a short, concise statement that everybody in the family knows and they can say upon command. Verbatim, the mission statement. Why are we here? What are we here to do? What is our mission? And then a vision statement. Where do we see ourselves in the future? Our family will be a family that leads the community in justice, or our family will be a family that leaves a legacy of wealth, or our family will be a family that teaches the community about entrepreneurship, something. What will you do? What is your family vision? If you teach your children reading, how to read, how to write, so they can sign their own checks or sign off their own employees' checks, how to write, reading, writing, and arithmetic, so they can add and do the math when they're counting the ounces of their gold and silver, Reading, writing, arithmetic, a mission statement, their mission and the family's mission, their vision and the family's vision. That's a lot. And then you teach them what you know as a parent. And let that be the legacy. If I'm a farmer, I'm going to teach my children how to farm. While I teach reading, writing, arithmetic, their mission and the vision statement, I'm going to teach them how to work the farm. And then they're going to teach their children how to work the farm. That's how it used to be. Then you have family farms. It's your bloodline. That's what you do. If I know how to make shoes, I'm going to teach my children how to make shoes. If grandpa, big papa, uncle, man, and Ray, Pookie, them is out. They are out working on cars. I'm going to teach them how to work cars. And that's what the family's job is going to be. It's not that hard. If we got beauticians in the family, then I'm going to have everybody learn how to do hair and be barbers. That's it. It's not that complicated. Maybe I'm simplifying it. And whatever you don't know how to do, auntie know how to do, uncle know how to do, unc knows how to do, papa knows how to do, mama, nana, nanny, Grammy, somebody know how to do something. Do they know how to bake? Why don't you have a family bakery? Why don't you just bake for your family or for the community? That's what we teach them. Or teach them a vocation. They like to decorate, teach them how to decorate. Then they can teach their children how to decorate. You see what I'm saying? How do you think these families became billionaires? Outside the ones that got nefarious money or accessed our trust or stole from people. But they pass down the knowledge to their children and their children's children, and it becomes a family business throughout generations. That's what we're moving back to, because you know what? This network of raping children is so deep and so vast, and it's reached across all countries, that it is true. If and when that all the names come out, and if and when they prosecute or arrest everybody's involved, you're going to hear it's over. The whole system will collapse. And that's what we're headed towards. You want to know how deep this goes? Teach them integrity. That's right. Teach them entrepreneurship, gardening, cooking, domestic help, domestic work, herbalism, special gift oriented. That's called legacy. Teach them integrity and God, but get out of thinking about it's just about you, because it's not. It's about the children. It's about the human race. Where are we going to be 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years from now? Thank you for saying you can sue judges in their personal capacity, but not their corporate capacity. You can. Good luck under the current system. I appreciate you saying that. And some people know how to put liens on them, right? Teach them children chivalry. Because what we're doing, me too, is we're putting our children, or we have put our children in school so they can learn how to be good slaves. The schools are mimicked after prisons. Now, even more so, they got fences all around them, gates. You can't even come in unless you show your ID. You got to speak into the little microphone thingy. The children got gates all around them. The windows are barred. And yeah, it could be for their protection, but the children would tell you, I feel like I'm in prison. They got bells that ring to tell them when to go here, when to get up there. They have to sit for 6 or 8 hours a day. You as an adult would go crazy if you had to sit somewhere for 8 hours a day. We have to, when you go to work, you get up and go to the water cooler to have a break to drink water, go to the bathroom. You go talk to somebody in another cubicle. It's hard to sit. So we send our children to the schools to learn. I get it, reading, writing, arithmetic. But nowadays they're being propagandized as well and learn to be good little slaves while they're being food in a lunchroom and in a breakfast room that has been issued out by the Department of Defense. Did you know that? Yeah, the lunch that our children eat in public and private schools, many private schools, they're issued out by the Department of Defense. Why? Why do children eat donuts for breakfast? Why do children eat sweet cakes for breakfast and chocolate milk? Why are they eating hot dogs for lunch and chicken nuggets made by God knows what? Because did you know there was a big meat factory that was just shut down because it was found out that it was human body parts? Research it. A major company was shut down recently, raided by the feds because there were human body parts, torsos, limbs, and they called it a human meat factory. Why are our children being fed food from the Department of Defense? Isn't that a little weird? Yeah, schools are like jail. Follow the line on the floors. Get up from your desk at a certain time. Walk in a single file line. Now, don't get me wrong. I love order, but what are we preparing them for? To get up at the crack of dawn. Some of these babies are outside at 5 and 6 o'clock in the morning. That means they had to get up at 4:30. Why? A bell ring to wake them up, disturb them from their sleep. Maybe they were on a mission in their dreams, but disturb them from their sleep. They have to be at school before many adults have to be at work. They're groggy, they're cranky. Then we feed them sugar, cereal full of sugar, donuts, a bunch of dead animals, bacon and eggs. Now, some people feed them fruit. That's what I started doing with my grandbabies. But let's think about that. Cow's milk, and which hasn't been pasteurized at home, so we don't know what kind of stuff is in the milk. So they're eating dead flesh and sugar early in the morning. That's how they break their fast. And then they get groggy, get dressed, go outside. Some of them in the middle, and I'm gonna say in the middle of the night. The sun hasn't even come up. Waiting outside for a bus for a stranger that we don't even know to come and pick them up on the bus and drive like who knows what, God knows who. We don't know what he's done with. Then they're amongst a whole bunch of children, some of them being traumatized, some of them don't know who their daddy is, some of them in foster care, some of them don't know who their mama is, some of them got beat, some of them abused, some of them cussing, some of them having XA. This is why when they tell you that schools are having transportation issues, is because a lot of people refuse to drive the bus because children are having sex on the bus and beating each other and fighting and cussing. And even the good children that try to be good can have a hard time being good because they might get popped upside the head or bullied by a child that doesn't have any discipline at home. I didn't know that. Homeschool and incorporate the 7 liberal arts. The Adept Moore says they will be fine with that foundation. Thank you. Did you know that people eat 15 hours a day counting snacks? Our bodies were not made to eat like that. It was only made to eat 1 or 2 meals a day, and intermittent fasting. That's what heals the body. God's goodness, Wendy says. Thank you, Sister Wendy. Thank you. So all I'm saying, family, is we don't know, yes, what's happening to our children. Some of us are saying, well, when we get money, we'll be able to stop worrying about things. We can start schools because, the Bible does say money answers all things. We got some women at home that rather be sitting on their phone, Instagram, Facebooking, taking pictures, playing games, doing TikTok challenges, and talking and doing therapy sessions on social media. They prefer to do that. I'm just telling you what I know. Now, everybody's not at home working. I mean, not outside working. Some people would rather be right at home, dilly-dallying on the phone. Why do you think they gave everybody a phone? What was wrong with one phone in the house or phones outside? You could put a dime in. Remember, we used to put our dimes in our penny loafers. You could put a dime in the phone outside and you can call somebody because there was a phone on almost every corner, and every family in one house, you might have had one phone. If you had a little money, you might have had two, one phone. So you didn't have all this cheating that you have going along because, hey, if Barbara called, Mrs. Johnson was going to answer that phone. If the mechanic called, Mike might call, Big Papa, the man of the house, might answer that phone. Why do you think they gave everybody a cell phone? To keep us, our minds dumbed down. Now you have to be on the phone just about because you got your bank on your phone, your Bitcoins on your phone, your cryptocurrencies or your digital coins on the phone. You can call up your friends. You got email on the phone. You got music on the phone. You got social media on the phone. You can just play. You can play games on the phone. Our heads are like this while the children are with strangers. Some people are at home, but we've gotten so used to this and doing this and having fun between 7 and 3 that it's easier to do this. So we think, because we haven't even tried it, than to sit down and teach your child how to handwrite or how to do cursive writing or how to read or how to add. Well, you don't know how to add? Give them some flashcards. The children can teach each other. My brother and I did it. Teach each other. Get a dictionary. Teach them. I taught my grandchildren. I'm teaching my grandchildren 8 and 9. They don't even have dictionaries in school. One of them said, "What is that? A dictionary? What's a dictionary?" Oh, I think I might have seen something that looked like that. I guess. Teaching them. I brought them a dictionary because I bought the game of Scrabble and I wanted them to learn how to spell words because I'm homeschooling them. But we got to stop with the excuses. Now, some people have legitimate reasons. They have to work. But then you have people at home that could be doing it. That could be teaching the children. And then if we can't, what about the person down the street? What if I barter and say, you help me, you teach my child? Because they don't have to. It doesn't take 8 hours a day to learn. You can learn life lessons just through going throughout your day. You teach my child, I'll bake you a cake. You teach my child, I give you some silver. You teach my child, I'll sew your clothes. Or we got a church, we got a building. Why don't we apply for some grants and start a school? That's because you know what? We had to do something when COVID shut everything down. And I'm telling you right now, we're getting to the point. They're already conditioning your minds to let you know that schools are about to be extinct. The school system as we know it, because the Department of Education that was funding these schools is going bye-bye with the government shutdown and with DOGE, Department of Government Efficiency, downsizing the government. This is why a couple years ago, Tennessee said we're not taking any money from the Department of Education because we have state funds that can fund our own schools at the state level. And we have parents that are saying they're going to homeschool their own children. That was the Tennessee. Here in Florida, you can get $7,000 to $10,000 per child if you homeschool, or you can let that money go to a private school because more and more people are saying, I care more about the health and the mentality and mental well-being of my child than I do about myself having some so-called peace and time away from my children. But you know what? COVID and the shutdown of the world, that was a testing ground. That was the sample. That was letting us see how things are about to be. I just want you to know it's coming. This what's happening now reminds me of what happened in 2020. In 2020, I had written this Facebook post and it went viral. It was showcasted on this very popular show called And Then We Know. And We Know. That was a YouTube channel. Now I think they might be on Telegram or something. And We Know. And then I started getting calls from all my friends from all over America. They were like, your article reached many churches and it's across many people's desks. They were calling me from all over. It was all on Twitter. It was everywhere. This was before the shutdown because I was paying attention in November, December when there were small cases coming up talking about people getting sick. and they were talking about it was a virus. So January, I started reporting on it. February, I started saying something's about to happen. I saw the Secretary of State, Mike Pompeo, go to the governor's conference and tell all the governors in America, y'all better do the right thing. I see your name listed with the Chinese Communist Party, and I have a report card graded from A to F, how complicit you've been with the Chinese Communist Party. Y'all better get it together. You better do the right thing. I was like, oh my God, what is he talking about? And then in March, as a substitute teacher, I happened to overhear another teacher who had just come from an administrative meeting saying that they were about to shut down the schools. And then my son, who was working for the transportation industry, got a letter saying that if in fact we have some type of shutdown, truck workers can be out. So I was gathering all this information. And then in March, I said, let me just tell people what I heard. This is the day before they announced the virus is when it went viral. Somebody actually put it in this particular publication called Operation Disclosure. So by the time this guy named Mr. Ed put it here, it was March 12th, but I had written it earlier, this particular article earlier in March. I said, and it says by Kia Pruitt via email, Mr. Ed, whoever he is, sent in my post and it went viral. And it's funny because when it went viral, people on Twitter was like, who she thinks she is, trying to tell us the world's going to be shut down. She's not a real doctor. It was funny to them, but it wasn't funny to me. And this is what we're about to see happen possibly again. We were told years ago that there would be an event that would quarantine America and possibly the planet in order to make global mass arrests. We were encouraged to stock up on food, water, and supplies. We were also instructed to remain calm. Martial law may be implemented to keep people off the street while these arrests occur. Schools would be closed, flights grounded, airports closed, etc. This was March 12, 2020. Why? Because the people being arrested, 2020, I said that, for participating in corruption and worldwide PDF and human trafficking, crimes against humanity, treason, erderme, grape, etc., is massive and affects every aspect of society. This includes Hollywood entertainers, NBA and NFL athletes and staff, and politicians, pastors, banking CEOs, corporate heads, school officials, coaches, and educators. Some of your doctors, lawyers, judges, college professors, school teachers, police officers, and chiefs, firemen, business owners, airport workers, pilots, bankers, priests, everyday people are currently being arrested for their crimes against humanity. A lot of them are involved in nefarious behaviors and secret societies. So the masses may not have been privy to their wrongdoings, their ritualistic abuse, child African trade, child Unting parties, ritualistic erdermage, drug trafficking involvement in underground activities in the deep underground military bases, also known as DUMBs, and more. This is why some of us reported on a notable resignation list for 2 years. It was in 2020 when I wrote this. For 2 years, we have been reporting on that. I have been, for one. Many people were on that list under the guise of resignation. We also reported on military tribunals, which began January 2019. Some of us watched military tribunals take place on c-vine.com. It might have been .net. This corruption is huge. POTUS asked, at that time it was President Trump under his first administration, he asked that people not be in crowds. One reason other than catching the virus is because the deep state New World Order corrupt leaders could attempt to retaliate since they know that we've been involved in a covert operation against them. Be safe. The planet is being cleansed. The corona iris V is a cover. While it's true that the deep state global New World Order elites created the iris V and attempted to infect the masses, Trump and the Global Alliance co-opted the operation and used it as a cover to arrest global elites, including the Pope and the unroyal family, politicians, and Hollywood elites. That's why Hollywood elites have gone missing. They jumped ship. Many of them have are now deceased. Many of them say they had dual citizenships. They left America because they knew their time was up. The mainstream media will announce that folks came down with the virus. I said this was March 2020. Actually, they've been arrested. Some have been at Gitmo for a while, actually. At some point, an announcement will be made. Remain calm and be stocked up. Those people who don't have food and supplies will have an opportunity to get it from their neighbors or military, because troops will likely be on the ground to make arrests and keep everyone calm. A curfew may be implemented. This was before all that happened. I said this. We were instructed also that new monetary policies and our new gold-backed system will be implemented and trillions injected into the economy after global mass arrests. You see, this was the precursor to the Supreme Court of the United States overturning Chevron doctrine. That happened in 2024. This article I put out in 2020. Also, this was the precursor to the Supreme Court saying that state-sponsored banks can operate independently from and outside of the Federal Reserve central banking system, and the state-sponsored banks can issue out their own what? Gold-backed currency. Otherwise, these nefarious beings would have once again stolen our wealth and re-empowered themselves. That's why the monetary system cannot be announced. The new one cannot be announced till after mass arrest, because if you let these people stay in place, they can just steal the money and re-empower themselves. Soon, the republic, our lawful government, will be restored in constitutional law. So be encouraged. Things are finally getting better for humanity. What an exciting time to be alive. Soon we'll enjoy the benefits of Nasara Jasara and our sovereignty, and finally enjoy planetary peace and prosperity. Be well. I said that in 2020. You see the word planetary peace? What just happened as it relates to peace? President Trump created what? His board of peace. And as to date, we have about 28 countries that we know of that joined. But there's got to be more, because the secret agreement, but there was a secret agreement between 209 nations that we would have planetary peace. So one of the latest nations actually to join the Board of Peace was actually Israel. And I reported on that about 2 days ago. You can go back and look at my videos on my YouTube channel. President Trump unveiled his Board of Peace and the plan, what it is, and who's paying $5 billion for Gaza. This was reported on February the 16th that he actually unveiled the Board of Peace. And if you look at my latest podcast, I list all the countries that we know of that have officially joined. But behind the scenes, everybody agreed to world peace. That's why BRICS was even created, the Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa coalition. It was created so that countries one by one and all together can stop trading with the United States dollar and use their own local currency for trade, as well as they agreed to world peace. How deep does this go? Okay, when we talk about what's happening to children, most of Europe, if not all of Europe, is involved. It's reached Europe. Look at that. Epstein file revelation. See, okay, they kicked out that article. That's okay. We'll bring it back up. I said it reached Europe. I'm gonna share the screen. Hope it don't change. Epstein file revelation sparks probes and controversies in Europe. Norway's former ambassador, I'm not going to click on that particular link, but Norway's former ambassador to, what country is that? Iraq, stepped down because she was implicated in Epstein's files. That's just as an aside. The tentacles, God, why did they switched it to a Bad Bunny article? Let me go back because this is important. The tentacles of the Epstein file saga, especially since the Department of Justice, you see how that keeps? Since the Department of Justice reached millions of additional pages extended beyond the United States and into the top echelons of several European nations, prompting intense scrutiny of the powerful people who associated with the wealth manager. Talking about who associated with the financier wealth manager Epstein. The latest batch of documents has revealed Epstein's network of friends and associates reached beyond his Caribbean island and East Coast circles into the gilded palaces of two of Europe's European families and touched some of the highest offices of foreign governments. While inclusion in the file does not indicate a person is a criminal suspect, it does in some cases show a person or persons has social or business connections with Epstein. Several people in European power circles are facing inquiries or questions or investigations, while others have stepped down from various professional roles. People are stepping down all across Europe. That's Europe. What about some of your African nations? You want to know why people say African nations are corrupt? The Caribbean is corrupt. South America is corrupt. Central America is corrupt. Here in North America is corrupt. Canada is corrupt. Why? Because they're all a part of one big family network, secret societies. When African leaders are picked and hand selected by the colonial powers that put them in slavery or colonized them, those leaders go to the country that colonized them. And they have parties, they have homes over there, they're educated over there. It doesn't matter that their skin is brown. They go to what's called their home country. So if you are from Senegal, your home country is France. That's the country that colonized you. Now, we know now under Trump's this third administration, because he was actually the president under Biden's administration as well. That's why when you look at Melania's movie and it pans over to a particular license plate, it says President Trump 45 through 47. That includes 46. But even under Trump's, all of his administrations, these presidential leaders, under this third administration, I should say, many of these presidential leaders have reclaimed their sovereignty. They kicked out their colonizer, like Mali, Burkina Faso, Senegal, Chad, and there's another one, Niger. They kicked out the French. And that's why France is struggling now financially. But let's just talk about a couple African nations. What happened in Senegal? Well, here's this article. It says Epstein made efforts to free the son of Senegal's former president after corruption conviction. Emails released by the United States Justice Department trace a years-long friendship between Jeffrey Epstein and Karim Wade, the son of Senegal's former president, who was jailed for corruption. So the son of the president, was jailed for corruption in Senegal, but he was friends with Jeffrey Epstein. The urgent email came from Senegal. The son of the former president desperately needed help. He's been sentenced for corruption and needed lobbying in the United States to get the matter in front of key lawmakers and diplomats. Sorry, but who are you? Was the initial response from a puzzled Jeffrey Epstein. A woman named Elizabeth Felicio replied, explaining that she worked for Karim Wade, a former Senegalese government minister whose portfolio included air transport and energy. He was also the son of Wade, who served as Senegal's president from 2000 to 2012. Well, it goes on to talk about how after he was sentenced, Wade, the son of the president in Senegal, leaned on Epstein to help him win back his freedom and clean up his reputation. In his email, Felijo asked Epstein to send a payment to a firm that could lobby influential figures in the United States and at the United Nations. So you have leaders and children of leaders in Senegal reaching out to Epstein asking for help and reaching out to lobbyists in the United States for help. They're all involved. Isn't that sad? So you can just pay so-called lawmakers, to help you get out of trouble, and a financier that lives in West Palm Beach or Palm Beach, Florida, somewhere in South Florida, by the name of Epstein, to help you all across the water on the continent of Africa. And that may be the reason why the people in Senegal have been struggling so much financially and economically, because the leaders were a part of the same club as the United States Incorporated and Jeffrey Epstein. That's Senegal. God bless their soul. What else? Okay, that's just one African country. Let's talk about Zimbabwe. Shall we? Because many of us were wondering, when is the Zimbabwean Zim going to ever be able to be redeemed? When are the people in Zimbabwe going to be able to deal with their inflation, with all that high inflation and their money being so, worthless that the people had to carry truckloads in order to buy a loaf of bread? When is all this corruption going to end? What's going on? It was corruption there. February 4th, 2026. Zimbabwe's Mugabe's latest former African leader to be mentioned in Epstein's files. Mugabe. Zimbabwe's ex-president Robert Mugabe may have had financial ties with Jeffrey Epstein. Didn't we try to tell people when Mugabe was replaced with Mnangagwa that he likely had to be removed, because in order for the new financial system to be announced and released, they had to get rid of corruption. They had to get rid of the old financial system. They had to get rid of the people that were colluding with the United States Incorporated. They had to get rid of all the people that were colluding with all of these child affectrators. Well, now here's the proof. Well, at least it's in writing. Zimbabwe's ex-president Mugabe, may have had financial ties with Jeffrey Epstein, according to the latest batch of files related to the convicted U.S. ex-say offender. Now, some of these people participated willingly, and some of these people were born into it. Some of these people are related to the same people. And then according to some people for example, that were born into the Chinese Communist Party sometime, and according to David Keith Quigley, also known as John Fitzgerald Kennedy Jr. For those of you who don't know who he is, you can look at some of my old videos. I've interviewed him. Some of them are born into it. Some of them are coerced into it. Some of them are do things in agreement, very much so, because they want the power and the prestige. But in an email exchange from 2015 with Japanese entrepreneur Joy Ito, the disgraced financier suggested they approach then President Mugabe to provide Zimbabwe with a new currency after the local dollar collapsed because of hyperinflation. FBI documents from 2017, also released, had unveiled testimony from a human confidential source who claimed Epstein was a wealth manager for Russia's President Vladimir Putin and provided the same service for Mugabe. God, even Russia. We keep saying we don't know who the new Vladimir Putin is, okay? Because he looks different from the old one. Probably a masked character. Being named among the Epstein files is not an indication of wrongdoing, this article says, but this was published by the BBC.com. Why isn't it? You might be guilty by association, but if you friends with a financier who mess with children, yeah. They used to tell us, be careful who you hang around, because you are guilty by association, whether you knew a person was guilty or not. But I like the way they try to make it seem like, oh, we don't know. You know that these presidents were all involved. Okay, let me hurry up. Thank you for saying you love my show. What else? Who else? What other nations have been implicated? And let's go, we can go quickly because it is getting late. We talked about Zimbabwe. We talked about Senegal. We talked about Europe. And what do you have here? Let's see. I'm just going to go over this one quickly. Was there any other African nations? Are there any publications that says other African nations could be involved? So let's see. I Googled African leaders and Epstein. Or I just put that's a Yahoo search. Zimbabwe's Mugabe, latest former African leader to be implicated. South Africa in the Epstein files. Here you go, right here. Epstein expose, African leaders' pawns and Western gamesmanship with Epstein. How Jeffrey Epstein used South Africa as his hunting ground. African leaders in the Epstein files. Leaked documents uncover Epstein's hidden hand in Africa. Deals, trips, and girls, how Kenyan politicians were involved with Epstein. All across the globe. This is why they're saying that Pam Bondi, the Attorney General for President Trump, said if they prosecute everybody involved, the whole system would collapse. Let's see. What about Israel? You can't say this word without getting in some kind of trouble because they don't want you to say Israel. Because they make you think that these people that have been involved with the corruption that has happened in that country are God's chosen people. So you just bet not mention that area. Okay, so let me look it up. Did I even see? I'm going to look it up because I thought I had the link. Okay, so if you just do a quick search, was Israel involved with Epstein? You get articles. Israel's Barak says he regrets knowing Epstein after the files were released. Ehud Barak has apologized for his year-long friendship with convicted ex-offender Jeffrey Epstein. Their relationship included regular correspondence. What were Epstein's links to Israel? FBI documents claim Jeffrey Epstein was a Mossad agent. Mapping Epstein-Israel connection. What do the documents show? Evidence of Epstein's ties to Israel intelligence grows, and more. All across the globe. You wouldn't be friends with somebody who's involved with children if you're not involved with children yourself. What they say, birds of the feather flock together. That's why our grandparents told us you couldn't hang around certain people. Because even if you didn't have an appetite for whatever they had an appetite for, you would learn to have it because you're influenced by the people around which you hang. Epstein files force resignations across 10 countries. Diplomats, ministers, and royals come under the scanner. Same thing I reported in 2020. March of 2020, we see now, right here, happening again in February 2026. The Epstein files have triggered resignations in 10 countries as probes widen into politicians, billionaires, and royals. The files have triggered a wave of resignations across 10 countries, with the revelation sparking the exit of 15 high-ranking figures. That's what they're reporting, 15. We know it's way more than that. While probes are underway against 80 prominent individuals. The UK has seen the highest number of resignations so far, while Slovakia, Sweden, and Norway have seen top diplomats and ministers stepping down from their official positions. The 3 million pages of material involving the actual exploitations of over 1,000 minor girls and young women were released by the United States Department of Justice. The files, which include names appearing in emails, flight manifests, and contact logs, reference between 700 to 1,000 influential individuals, including politicians, sound like the same people I named in my article in 2020, including politicians, business leaders, and members of royal families. Remember, I called them unroyal families in my publication. As per some reports, around 100 politicians and senior diplomats and nearly 200 billionaires and corporate executives are believed to have found mention in the records. Listen, even if they don't arrest all these people, you and I know who they are. We just heard a military young man say, we can take to the streets right now. We, according to what he said, was it the Declaration of Independence, can form militia to go and deal with them ourselves. What are the implications? What key figures are implicated in the Epstein files? The Epstein files mention numerous influential figures, including politicians like Bill Clinton and President Donald Trump, as well as celebrities such as Michael Jackson and actors like Alec Baldwin. However, being mentioned does not imply criminal wrongdoing, this article suggests. Many names appear due to social interactions or professional connections rather than direct involvement in Epstein's crimes. That's what they say, breaking it down. Some people say people like Donald Trump reported on it and had nothing to do with it. Some people say he did. Some people say that we may never know the truth. But what we do know is that President Trump is one of the ones that's leading the military to take down the deep state. We know that. Whether he was asked to do it, mandated to do it, encouraged to do it, is under scrutiny. It depends on who you ask. But we do know that Donald Trump is the, what do you call it? Commander-in-chief of the military. We know that the military tapped on his shoulder. The military has not only tapped on his shoulder, but they're also working with extraterrestrial beings, non-planetary beings from Mother Earth. They're from outside of the Earth. Extraterrestrial just means outside of the Earth plane. So they call them the Nasara White Knights, and the military are working with Donald Trump to take down the deep state. And then after that, he, as the last president, will step down, or if time will be up because he's older, or who knows, he might transition. But we know he's the last president. He is the last president of the United States Incorporated. After that work is done, then we will return to our lawful government, the republic, and then to common law or tribal law. Europe has emerged as the center of the fallout, with resignations reported across 10 countries, this article says in summary. As you see, family, this runs deep. Now, if you want to see a shortened version of what we're talking about today, look at the video I did last night on the 14th on Valentine's Day. But I said I would come back today and I will show you evidence. I will show you a longer, more involved podcast. And I said we will have interaction from the audience as well. So here we are. Mel Richardson says, love you and your show always. Thank you. And we are going to have med beds, not only to help us, but yes, to help the children as well. Because a lot of children have been discovered, family. They have been rescued. But many of them were rescued and discovered without body parts. And many of them have been traumatized emotionally and psychologically. They've been abused so long, so much, that they're going to need these med beds in order to make them whole. Marty says, One Nation Under Blackmail, Volume 1, the sordid union between intelligence and crime that gave rise to Jeffrey Epstein, Volume 1 and Volume 2. Wow. Is that a movie? Or are you just saying this because that would be great? All says, you crushed it last night, Doc. Thank you. But today I just wanted to come back. I appreciate you so much and give you evidence of what I've been saying. Because it's one thing to say it, that this is happening and that the corruption is spread all across the globe, but it's another to actually see it in writing. And I wanted to show you the proof. Okay, let's see. I'm wondering. Wait a minute. Okay, yeah, I want to show y'all this. I'm just going to show you 1 minute of this video because I did report this too on the other night that about 8,000 staff from the Department of Justice walked out.
We are approaching close to 8,000 lawyers and staff critical to the DOJ either resigning or being pushed out. We've been covering this mass exodus, this internal implosion at the DOJ, which I think was manifest during, I don't even know what you would call Attorney General Pam Bondi's hearing before the House Judiciary Committee. Say what you want about Merrick Garland. When he showed up before the House Judiciary Committee, he came prepared. He answered the questions. He exercised decorum. He wasn't behaving like a awful third grader. No offense to awful third graders. But this behavior by the DOJ that federal courts have been consistently not just frustrated, but have viewed as outright sanctionable conduct in cases across the country. We saw it all comes from the top, and then beyond that, it comes from the top of Donald Trump, who gives Pam Bondi her instructions.
So according to reports, 8,000 DOJ, Department of Justice attorneys have suddenly walked out. Now, this was just reported the other day, and then I fact checked and I told you on my report the other day. They'll say, no, it wasn't quite 8,000. It was 5,500 that just walked out of the Department of Justice. But what we saw is actually it started last year with 70% of the Department of Justice, according to some reports, walked out last year. Why are so many people leaving the Department of Justice? Well, you can say because some of them are implicated in the Epstein files, and you can also say because it's a part of the cleanup that must happen because the Supreme Court of the United States in 2024 overturned the Chevron doctrine. You got some implicated in the Epstein files. You have the Supreme Court of the United States on June 28, 2024 saying that the United States government, 444 agencies attached to the government are unlawful and treasonous. Therefore, they must be dismantled. And so not only are they implicated as being treasonous, but any judge that participated or allowed the United States Incorporated and federal government agencies to continue on in these shenanigans, all the judges involved also committed treason, according to the Supreme Court of the United States. That happened in June 28, 2024. So they said that 444 government agencies are treasonous and unconstitutional. The judges that participated are treasonous, and any judge that knew of a judge that allowed this to happen, they committed misprision of treason. Therefore, after that happened in 2024, President Trump came in, did his inauguration speech in 2025 in January, and then he created the Department of Government Efficiency. He allowed Elon Musk to be over the Department of Government Efficiency, and they downsized the government immediately. And right as soon as he created that, he started examining all of the government agencies and bodies, and he got rid of or eliminated many of those positions. He allowed a lot of them to take early retirement, but some of them were also forced to resign. Some of them were arrested. But we know that as soon as President Trump created the Department of Government Efficiency, we lost at least 300,000 government workers. Now we're up to almost 500,000, if not more. That happened last year. We're just hearing that 70% of the Department of Justice left last year. Now you got more just walking out this year, 2026. So you have those things. The Supreme Court of the United States overturned the Chevron doctrine. That is the doctrine or the legality that gave the government unlimited powers. It's been overturned. And you also have the Brunson brothers case brought up against who? Joseph Robinette Biden, Kamala Harris, Nancy Pelosi, and 385 members of Congress. We still have not heard the official announcement or ruling on the Brunson case. I had the esteemed pleasure of interviewing Lloyd Brunson, one of the Brunson brothers, who happens to be a trumpet player. You think this is all happenstance? Trumpet players brought up allegations against Pelosi, Biden, Harris, and 385 members of Congress. A trumpet player, how this is the season of the trumpet. Donald Trump is the Trump in Zion. That goes along with the scriptures that says in the last day, a trumpet will sound and the dead in Christ will rise first. Then those that are alive and remain will be caught up together to meet him in the air. This is during the second coming of Jesus. I've said this many times. What is that second coming of Jesus from a metaphysical standpoint? It is the second coming of Jesus, the Christ, or Christos consciousness, and the awakening. That's why they call it the Great Awakening happening. That's why they call it Corona, because Corona meaning crown. The crown chakra is activated. People are waking up. Crown, Corona, gold. That says we're moving into the golden era. We're moving into a golden age. All this is related. When the trumpet will sound in the last day, Christ is going to come back. The trumpet will sound and the dead in Christ will rise first. Those that were dead, those who didn't believe us, those that were asleep, those that didn't know what in the world was going on, they're going to have a great awakening because their crown chakra is being activated. And then they're going to rise up, and those that are alive and remain going to be caught up to meet them together in the air. They're going to meet the dead in Christ together where in the air? In their ascension. They're going to raise their frequencies. They're going to raise in their thinking. They're going to raise in their knowledge, in their sense of knowing. And then we shall be changed in a moment, in the twinkling of an eye. How are we going to be changed? We've been talking about this. Our bodies are changing to become crystalline. So when the Bible says in a moment of the twinkling of the eye, we shall be changed. Because when Christ rose from the dead, he said, I have all power in heaven and earth is given unto me. And his body was changed because he said when he died and he left and he ascended to see the Father. Who's the Father? I and the Father are one. We're moving to a higher vibrational frequency where we're all ascending because the trumpet has sounded. The people have awakened. Who was the Trump in Zion in this era? Donald Trump, the character, the avatar, the masked person, the avenger, whomever you call him. The commander in chief is blowing the trumpet on, hey, all these people, he did it under his first administration. And people are waking up. Even under his second administration, while Biden was pretending to be the president, he was a masked person too. He was a character, an actor. Trump was behind the scenes running things, but they had to let Biden do his thing, do his damage, let the deep state do whatever they were doing. It's a war tactic. Read the Law of War manual. Read the Art of War. Read the Laws of Power. The Art of War by Sun Tzu. There are many different ways to stage war. You can go out and you can fight literally and have bloodshed, or you can act dumb and make people think you don't know what's happening. And then you can come out and get them, or you can just lay low and let the people who have taken over run roughshod all over the place and pretend like they're in power, let them do whatever. And sometimes they're going to be casualties of war. And they do such a horrible job like Joseph Robinette Biden did. And they let everybody cross the border, and they admit to allowing over 300,000 people come into the airspace, into America through the airplanes. We're not even mention all the people that came in through the waterway, through walking, crossing through all the border. You just let them do whatever they want to do until the people wake up. Behind the scenes, you're making some arrests, and you just let them do whatever they want to do, and you let them act stupid and fall all across the steps, and like Biden did, and babble and all. It's just, and it got so ridiculous. They even showed you the mask. They showed you the mask line. They showed you the circles of the eyes being cut off. They showed you actors and actresses with baby bumps so huge or so fake that you would have to be asinine not to see that this was a stage play. All the world's a stage. It was a stage play to allow this all to happen so the people could awaken. How does all of this tie into the financial system? Well, we've reached the golden era. Have we not? We've reached, that's what the Corona was talking about. They used to call the sickness Corona before they called it the CV, because they were speaking to each other that this is the age of the crown chakra being awakened. This is the golden era. So we've reached that era. Even President Donald Trump himself said that we've reached the golden era. See if I could find that. How did he say it? He said this just the other day on his social, Truth Social. And now the golden age is here. President DJT. That was on February. It says 4 days ago. That was on February the 11th. And now the golden age is here. People are waking up. People can see what's happening. Their crown chakra is being activated. More and more people are saying, hey, you conspiracy theorists, y'all were on to something. Now that the Epstein files are released, I'm telling you, people are saying, oh my God. And we're showing you it's reached all across the globe. Oh my God, this is deeper. Wait till you hear about pastors in your communities being arrested. Teachers, judges, attorneys, coaches, people you loved and trust. We're not even going to talk about the entertainers and actors. You see, they're not making movies. Why do you think they're not making movies anymore? Why do you think only dum-dums are making music now? The babblers that don't have anything to say that makes any kind of sense. They're just babbling and making noises and talking about sex because they all stuck in their lower chakra, and most of them aren't even human. Or they're Cabbage Patch Kids. They're some test tube babies that was designed in a lab. They sound stupid because they are stupid. The ones with talent, some of them were using auto tunes or AI. The ones with quote, end quote talent, some of them. And some of them were allowed to make music because they're part of bloodline families. Just like the Hollywood. What? They're not making music now. They're not acting now. Hollywood is that. I have people that I know that's in Hollywood now that's not making it. I'm talking about like independent filmmakers are like, we can't make it because there no actors are around. No, Hollywood is gone. It's dead. It's over. Now you see comedians, actors, and actresses and entertainers all trying to be podcasters. Now, They can't make any more money. They done sold out their souls, sacrificed their family members, allowed them to make clones of themselves, sold them out, made us look like dum-dums, had us voting all for the liberal parties, had us all marching in the streets looking like fools, telling us how we all need to be liberals and how we all need to marry people that look just like us and have same-sex relations and all of us. Now, some people that's their proclivity. But they were trying to get everybody to do it because they were leading us down the line to accept PDF. Now that they done all that, sacrificed all that, made us all look like dummies, had everyday people worshiping them, doing dumb stuff, supporting politicians. Now that it's over for them and they can't make money making movies, now they want to be a podcaster and take all the money from YouTube and social media. So we can't make money. I tell you, they some self-absorbed sums of somethings. But they're not making money in Hollywood, and the musicians are making money in music, and a lot of them are unalived, or they went across the seas. That's why they had dual citizenships, or they took out buyout deals. It's over. Hollywood is over. The music industry is over. Soon the education system will be over. The banking system will be over. We've reported time and time again of all the banks that have collapsed. It is over. We're just waiting for everybody to wake up. But if we don't wake up, it's going to take longer and longer and longer. But at some point, family, just like Pam Bondi allegedly said, the whole system will collapse. Does that include the financial system? Absolutely. Because I spoke to my son, Dex Lattimore, who is the economist of the Soul Tribe, and I asked him what was going on, because I know he knows more than I do. He's an economist as it relates to money. I report on finances. I study economics. He has a whole degree in economics and international relations and international business. He's traveled all across the globe to the African nations that I mentioned. Why do you think I mentioned them? He's traveled to South America, Central America. He's traveled all over the place. You're an economist. I said, what is going on? He said, you know what? Because he was livid. He said, every time Epstein is arrested or brought before the courts, it leads to a financial collapse. What do you think this is going to happen in 2026? It's all going to come crashing down. I said, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? Epstein arrest states. He said, you know, this is the first time he's been arrested. I was like, you're right. We heard about him being arrested, 2000, was it 2005 for the first time? Allegedly, it was found out he had some activities or relations with 2 teenage girls. They brought it to light. Did anything happen to him? He was arrested. It's interesting because when my son told me the dates, I looked it up and then they tried to fact check me and told me I was wrong. 2005. I'm going to bring it up before on the screen. The first time. What did that lead to? The housing collapse. Remember the housing crisis of 2006? Y'all remember that? I do. He was arrested 2005. We had a housing collapse in 2006. He was arrested in 2010. That led to another financial collapse. That happened in 2011 and 2012 under whose watch? Obama's. And that's when they had said, they started bailing out banks. They started doing it actually in 2006. So 2005, he was arrested. We had housing collapse 2006. He was arrested and went before the courts 2010. That led to another financial collapse. Then he had charges, entered a plea deal in 2019. What happened in 2020 right after that? COVID in 2020 and the shutdown of the whole world. Financial collapses tied to Epstein. This is spiritual. There's something about The connection between him and what he's been doing to children and what all of the relationships he's had with world leaders that ties to our financial system. We know they use Bitcoin to sell and buy them, Ildren Trey, right? That's why many people said Bitcoin is going to completely collapse and go bye-bye, because it was a nefarious, untraceable monetary system that was decentralized. It wasn't attached to the banks, so they can buy and sell by using Bitcoin. I just saw something that says it's collapsed, Bitcoin and crypto suddenly 4 days ago. I'll show you that right here. It's collapsed, Bitcoin and crypto. Economist explains why is Bitcoin price crashing. Bitcoin crash history. Bitcoin price crash in 2026. Bitcoin's first major crash happened in June 2011. Note that Bitcoin's first major crash happened in June 2011. What I say happened in 2010? Let me bring up at the Epstein dates, okay? Kudos to economist Dex Lattimore for knowing this and making this connection. What were the exact arrest dates and charges against Jeffrey Epstein in 2005, 2010, 2019, and how did plea deals affect later prosecutions? I'm not going to talk about how they affected later prosecutions. I'm going to talk about how it's tied to financial collapse. All right. Charges against Epstein in 2005 led to what? The housing crisis in 2006. 2010. What I just read what happened in 2011, the first major Bitcoin crash. Bitcoin is what they use to buy children. 2019 led to, that's when COVID started in November. In December, when the cases first started coming out. And then we had the whole world shut down in 2020. If you don't think this is leading to some type of emergency broadcast system announcement, then I don't know what to tell you. The whole world's system, the financial system, the housing market, the educational system, the judicial system, the legal system, the court system, the whole system, the sex industry, the entertainment industry, the music industry, by God, I don't know what you call it, every single industry, the banking industry, all tied to Jeffrey Epstein and the raping and molestation and abuse and mutilation and unalivement of our babies. If you don't get an emergency broadcasting system announcement ever in life, you got one right now today. It's called the Dr. Kia Pruitt Presidential Emergency Broadcast System Announcement of February the 15th, 2026 at 11:07 p.m. in Eastern Standard Time. This is a state of an emergency. This is an emergency. This is not a test. This is not a test. This is an emergency. This is an emergency. We must all come together and do something to help and save our children. This is not a test. The whole system is going to collapse. This is your emergency broadcast system announcement. The whole system is going to collapse. Take it upon yourselves to take shelter. Take it upon yourselves to get your family members together. Take it upon yourselves to create a mission and vision statement for yourself and your family. Take it upon yourselves to teach your own children. Take it upon yourselves to babysit your own children. Take it upon yourselves to create your own businesses, to grow your own food, to create your own communities and your own banks, to buy silver and gold, to get you some gold backs, to buy some type of foreign currencies, to make yourself ready for what is to come, because it's all coming down. You've seen a stage, a production. You've seen a bunch of people get across the stage and act like presidents and vice presidents and mayors and doctors and lawyers and judges. And you've seen them act like they care about you, entertaining and shucking and jiving and acting like they care about you in the judicial systems. And when they send your kids and take your children off on these different vacations and different things that they were doing. They were all pretending to care about you, but nobody cares about you but you and your loved ones and your ancestors and your bloodline and your community and your creator. That's who cares about you. They don't care about you. They don't give a darn. They don't give a rat's behind. They don't care because they don't have to care. It was never meant for them to care. They all decided they want to live off you, feed off you, drink off you and your children. This is the emergency broadcasting system announcement for which you've been waiting. Do something about what's going on. Take your power back. Remove your children from their systems. Remove ourselves from their systems. When we pull back, they will have to come crashing down. They've got cameras that's been watching us. They've been watching your children on their iPads and in their little games and all on the pictures and the school pictures, choosing the children that they want. They've been selecting children and doing their little experimentations on them when they send them away out of the classroom and on their little gifted programs. And when they go around to do their competitions, they've been experimenting on them and having XA with them. And when you send them off to college, they've been propagandizing them and molesting them mentally, psychologically, spiritually, and physically. Not just with Epstein, but the whole system has been siphoning our energy because it's led by vultures, parasites, and beasts that are not human. They don't emote, they don't feel, they don't care. But what about you? Do you care? Do I care? Let's stop sitting on our laurels, acting like, oh, I can't do anything about it. I gotta work. I gotta do. What you gotta do, what you need to want to do is care about these children. What I need to do is care about the children. When is the emergency broadcasting announcement coming? It just happened. If you don't feel a sense of urgency, I encourage you to think about the children, the ones that have been missing, the ones that are underground military bases, the ones who have been taken away from their family members, the ones who have never seen the light of day because they've been in the dark, literally in dungeons. Think about the military who risk their lives every single day. Benjamin King, he's on my Facebook page. He's one crying out about all the work he's done to save babies and children, and many, many more that we never. Aaron Kennefick, say his name. That's Gold Star Mother Susan Price's. Her baby was unalive. So many more, saving children. They've been watching us, laughing at us, making jokes about us, getting us all involved in their politics. I said us. I didn't say you. I said us. Oh, I'm a Republican. Oh, I'm a liberal. They've been laughing at us, watching us be inundated with the cell phone, on social media, us on the computer, laughing at us, watching us get up in the morning, early in the morning at the crack of dawn, working to make their empires wealthy. But you know what? Their empires are collapsing because first of all, we don't make enough money to keep buying from their stores. They priced us out. Secondly, they're being arrested. Why do you think major corporations and all of these big buildings like malls are being shut down? Do you know one way they're about to shut down malls other than COVID? They're now having mass shootings at malls, and they're calling a teenage overtake. The same thing they say just happened in Jacksonville with a teenage overtake of a shooting in the mall. They said it happened in Louisville, Kentucky, but they said it was thousands of teenagers. We didn't even have that many teenagers that was out that day in Louisville, Kentucky when they're calling the mall takeover of teenagers. They'll do anything. They'll stage anything. They'll release a sleeper cell to help them shut down the malls so that people can stop going to the mall. They're going to do everything. They're laughing at us while they're watching us through our cameras, play, joke, laugh, get up early in the mornings because we got to eat, make money for them, build up their corporation, spend our last on Christmas and Thanksgiving. Why do you think they opened up the government after it had been shut down in 2025? They only opened it up for Thanksgiving and Christmas, November and December. Then they closed it right back down in January because they wanted to see us spend the little money that we had. But we didn't spend enough to stimulate the economy like they really need us to, so they shut it back down again. Well, we're not even going to talk about how they had to shut it down because they need to shut down the whole thing because the government doesn't exist anymore. It's defunct. It's bankrupt. But yet we're still paying taxes. Why? They're laughing at us. Oh, they're paying taxes, even though we told them the IRS said stop paying taxes. We're still paying them. They're laughing at us. You know what else they're laughing about? I don't need a man. They're laughing at the women. I don't need a man. I ain't got no Igane, and no Igane ain't got me. I ain't got no ninja, and no ninja ain't got me. They're laughing at us, mimicking these songs that these stupid, dumb entertainers, transgender entertainers are singing. They're laughing at us. I don't need a man. I can do it all by myself. I don't need a woman. All these women are tainted. I don't need a man. We don't need each other. They're laughing at us on our podcast. I'm not going to have a baby. I'm just going to freeze my eggs for 20 years. They're laughing at us. We think we agreed and desired to. No, we were programmed to do this. I don't need a man. I don't need a family. I'm going to get a bag. Well, now you don't have a job. Now you're sitting without a job, broke. The government is gone. You can't have children. Like, what are we doing? Nobody's having babies. Or if you are having babies, a lot of women having babies by the same men, so nobody's making love. They're laughing at us. We're partying to their music. We're looking at their televisions and their little mangy, crazy, stupid movies. We're caught up in social media. I'm saying we're fighting over politics. We're arguing over if you're a conspiracy theorist or not. If you're dumb, you're a liberal, I'm not. I'm a conservative. I'm a Trump supporter. You're not. You're dumb because you follow Biden. You voted. They're laughing at us. Sending our children, waking them up in the middle of the night, sending them outside 6-5 in the morning to catch a bus, to ride in some buses. We don't even know the people driving. We don't know the teacher from Who Shot John. They go in the bathrooms by themselves, smoking and having sex in the bathrooms. They're laughing at us. Children don't know who their fathers are. Women blaming the father on this father and that father. We fighting in the court systems, fighting against each other. They are laughing at us because they created the system to enslave us. We bought into it or we were coerced into it while they have their big fun. But it's time for us to peek behind the curtain and look at that camera that's been watching us, looking at everything we've been doing as we act out their little stage plays. It's time for us to realize that the sky is fake. Truman Show. That some of the people that we thought we fell in love with were sent to us. They were agents. Truman Show. We thought we chose this job. If you follow people like Rena Houston, who was Whitney Houston's oldest daughter that was trafficked, I know her. These people literally send people to you. You think you're in a relationship that's organic. They're laughing at us. If you clock how much time you're on the phone or on the social media, if the time we're gossiping, listening to music, partying, playing, kikiing, kakaing, you'll see that we have participated in our own enslavement. They are laughing at us. Not anymore. Thank you. It's time to look beyond the veil and see what's really been going on, because it's about that time now. They can't keep hiding. For them to come out officially with an announcement that it's over. You're going to hear somebody say, it's over for us. What you going to do when there's no more entitlement benefits, no welfare, no food stamps, no Section 8, no housing, no government, no religious structure, because some of the pastors, priests, prelates are being arrested and will be arrested? You're going to hear an announcement. And you're going to have an epiphany. And the people who were in power are going to step down officially and openly. And what are you going to hear them say? Good morning. And in case I don't see ya, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. It's curtains. My name is Dr. Kia Pruitt. I encourage you to take this information and do something to improve your own life for you, your children, and your future generations. Because there's not going to be any more government or political system or entertainment system to keep us entertained while they run amok. We're going to have to fend for ourselves, but that's a good thing, because we were never supposed to be in a reality where beings who are not even human control your food source, the way you have sex, who you marry, how you fish, how you live, how you eat, your education system, how your children are educated, how they're nurtured. None of that was supposed to happen. It's all up to you. That's what sovereign means. Sov, over, reign, reignty, rule and control. Rule, reign, and control over your own life. The Bible says, ye are gods. Does not your law tell you that you are gods and children of the Most High? Does not your scripts say when you were created, you were given dominion, meaning power? Can you not create and manifest as co-creators of your own reality? Then why do we need a government? We don't. So family, having said that, let's take it upon ourselves to create the reality that we desire for our own lives. Remember why you came here. It's one of the reasons why they cut the umbilical cord, because they don't want you to remember why you came. And all that ancestral memory was cut. All your past lives were cut. That's why they tell the doctors to cut the umbilical cord. The doctors think they're doing a good thing. It's supposed to fall off when it's time, after all those memories have fully reached your body and your spirit. And you, that way, you know why you came. You have all these past life memories informing you. They cut off the umbilical cord. But remember why you came. Do some meditating, some fasting, as somebody said in the comment section. Remember why you came. Create a mission statement and a vision statement. Why am I here? What is my purpose, my mission, and what is the vision for my future? Do it for yourself and for your family. Make sure everybody understands or understands or overstands it, and they should be able to cite it upon command, the mission statement and the vision statement, for themselves and their family. If you spend time doing that, and you spend time educating your children and your grandchildren, and you spend time creating a community, and you spend time creating your own family bank by accumulating whatever wealth you can with whatever few pennies, dollars you can, because copper is inexpensive. Silver is getting up there, but you got constitutional silver and junk silver. You got silverware. You got all types of silver. 90% silver, 92% silver, sterling silver. You got gold backs that are like $10, whatever you can do. You got silver and gold jewelry. But what's the biggest resource? The main resource? Human resource. Human resource. Yes, store up and create a bank. But what is your human resource? What skills and gifts do you have that you can hone and expand so you can help your family and community and society at large? Hone them and learn to barter so we can trade with each other. Because they've been laughing at us. Yes, we'll get the last laugh if we're still here. So many people are checking out. So many people have chosen not to wake up. So many people are so busy just going along with the program, partying, kiki kakaing, having big fun, instead of being serious about your father's business, your mother's business, your ancestors' business. Their time is up. They've all been implicated from the top to the bottom, from the United States of America, all across the seas to Europe, Canada, South Central America, the Caribbean islands, Asia, Australia, even Antarctica. And I'll end with this. Pam Bondi allegedly said, if we prosecute them all, the entire system will collapse. This is exactly what we need to happen and what will happen, but you and I must be prepared. It is an exciting time, but a lot of people are going to die. I'm going to keep it real. If they're not prepared. Yes, we're going to have humanitarian projects. Yes, we're all going to help them, but you still see a lot of people checking out of here. A lot of people will be caught unawares. What do you think the parable in the Bible was about? The 10 virgins. Some were ready and some were not. When the bridegroom came, some were ready and some were not. 10 virgins got ready for the wedding and 10 played around, kiki kakad, and did whatever they wanted to do because they thought they had lots of time. But when the bridegroom came, only the ones who were ready were allowed to enter the feast. They that were ready went into the feast. They that were ready went into the feast. They that were ready went into the feast for the marriage supper of the Lamb. Who was not ready? And what happened to them? What happened to the ones that weren't ready? When the door shut, because the ones that were ready entered into the chambers, the bridegroom came, they had a lovely party, they were ready. Keep your lamps trimmed and burning, keep your lamps trimmed and burning, keep your lamps trimmed and burning, for the time is drawing nigh. They had their lamps trimmed and burning. They were ready for the bridegroom. When the bridegroom came, they all that were ready, the 10 virgins that were ready, entered the feast. They that were ready went into the feast. They that were ready went into the feast. They that were ready went into the feast of the marriage supper of the Lamb. What's the latter part of that? What happened to the ones that weren't ready? They cried unto the wise, oh, give us some of your oil. They cried unto the wise, but the wise said not so. They cried unto the wise, oh, give us some of your oil. I should have listened, but I didn't. But the wise answered and said, not so, lest there be not enough for thee and me. What's the parable? Be ready. So at the last minute, you're not trying to get ready, because when it's time to enter the marriage supper, the proverbial marriage supper of the Lamb, those that are ready will enter the feast. Those that are not are going to be begging at the last minute, help us, help us, help us. And those of you that can help will. But some people will say, no, you had time. You played, you kikied, you cockeyed, you laughed, you giggled. And the wise answered and said, not so, lest there be not enough for thee and me. It's a parable. Some will be ready and some will be not. Some will be prepared for a financial collapse and some will be not. What are we going to do if there's a big old collapse that happens and there's time before we have a announcement that we can go into the banks and cash in our foreign currencies? What if there's some space between it? Because look, I've been waiting almost 10 years. You got people been waiting 20. People have died in the process. People have not been accumulating. So if they checked on out of here, they have nothing to leave to the children and the great grandchildren, the great greats and the great grands and the future generations. This is reality we're talking about. What are we going to do? Yes, it's a happy time. We're excited. We're preparing. But some people are like, I got time. I want to play. I want to have fun. I want to have big fun. What are you going to do if they activate another sleeper cell and your children are in the schools? Didn't Chief Rod Hayes tell you to take your children out of schools? What do you think we have chiefs for? They're the prophets. They're the seers. God forbid. They're activating them right now. It's just like I told people in 2020, we're going to have a shutdown, a world shutdown. There's going to be National Guards on the ground. We're going to have curfews. This information was downloaded from the Most High and the ancestors, and I spoke it, and God have mercy, it happened days later. All I'm saying is be ready, and you don't have to be scrambling. When they shut down the world, the people, the preppers, they were already ready. The people who listened to the prophets, the seers, and the chiefs, they already had flashlights and toilet paper and all this stuff. They weren't at the last minute rushing to the store saying, hey, remember me? Give us some of your oil. They cried, because you used to need oil to trim your lamps, to have your lamps burning. Give us some of your oil. But the wise who were prepared answered, not so, because I don't have enough for thee and me. And you know what happened? We literally had elders to pass away during COVID. You literally had people that couldn't get out to the stores. Then you have fools tearing up the stores, breaking up the stores, tearing up businesses. I know, I lived through it. I filmed it in Louisville, Kentucky. You all saw it in your cities when Antifa and Black Lives Matter, Until Freedom, and these military folk who was funded by some of these billionaires that we saw implicated in the Epstein files started rushing through the streets because they were told that somebody was unalive, and they watched something on the screen happen to people they never heard of, never knew. Yes, you can be upset, but they took to the streets. They tore up ATM machines. They tore up schools. They broke up everything. They tore up whole cities. To this day, 60% of downtown Louisville, Kentucky is inoperable. Business is still closed. All I'm saying, family, yes, we're going to have revaluation of currencies. Yes, we're in the middle of a global currency reset. Yes, Nasara is happening in real time. But let's get serious. Let's get serious. Let's get serious. Start praying and fasting and meditating for our children. Starting our own schools, or honing our skills and teaching these skills to our children, because you are going to hear officials come on TV. Pam Bondi is going to say it, or President Trump, or military, somebody other than Dr. Kia Pruitt, and going to say good morning. And in case I don't see ya, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. And then you're going to see the curtains close and the lights are going to go out and it's going to be over and you're going to have to figure it out. But you won't be in mass hysteria if you prepare now. My name is Dr. Kia Pruitt. I hope I've said something to raise your vibrations and inspire you to create the most amazing, magnificent life that you desire and deserve, because you came here to live and experience it. Get you some gold and silver if you desire from your local coin dealer. Google coin dealer near me. Silver and gold have declined in prices. Why? Because of many reasons. People are dumping or selling off their silver and gold. Some of the prices are being suppressed, but for you, this is a buying opportunity. When I asked economist Dex Lattimore, what do we do when we see gold and silver go down when we've been hoping it goes up? He said, buy the dip. It's an opportunity. You can use my affiliate, Miles Franklin. You can call him at 952-929-7006, or you can leave an email at info@milesfranklin.com and let them know that Dr. Kia Pruitt referred you. You can ask them what they have in inventory. You can say, I want to spend this amount of money. What should I get? Ask them. Let them know you heard about them from the Dr. Kia Pruitt show so you can get the best prices. You can go to an antique shop. You can go to a pawn shop, an estate sale. You can go to goldback.com. Learn about goldbacks, because in 46 states here in America, they've already reclaimed silver and gold as legal tender, meaning you can use silver and gold to buy local goods and services to date. And we talk about that in my private group. Go to goldback.com and get you some goldbacks. Right now, they're $10.02. When I first started talking about this in 2017, they were $1. Now they're $10. You can buy goods and services and pay property taxes in some states with goldbacks, gold and silver. That's out of your budget. Get copper. Silver and copper were just added to the United States critical minerals list. Join a private group, and we'll talk about that in detail at 1 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. But we were talking about this 8 months ago, before the whole world started rushing towards silver and copper. One of our private members, Jeffrey Short, told us to get copper. If you want to get foreign currencies, you don't have to. But if you desire to, go to Banknote World, 100 trillions with an S.com, banknoteworld.com, greatamericancoincompany.com, Safe Dinar, many different places, or just Google it online. Why would you get foreign currencies? Because a lot of currencies have been devalued through war or sanctions, like Zimbabwe's. You buy it now. When they do a reset and they start backing up their currencies with silver and gold publicly, because it's already happened behind the scenes, you'll be able to go to the bank or wealth management centers, because most banks are going to be done away with. Now we're going to have wealth management centers, and exchange those foreign currencies for a higher rate and become potential millionaires and billionaires overnight. There are ways. Hone your skills, learn how to grow food, or just learn, find out where your local markets, farmers are, support them. You get food from them, you give them the currency in exchange for the food. They'll gladly take whatever currency you can give them. Brother Eric said, if copper's not in your budget, nickel has 75% copper in it. Why are we talking about alternative metals like copper and nickel? Because there are some coin shops and dealers, like Ali just says right here, 42D, Ali 42D, my coin shop has no more silver left. This is what I mean by preparing. Keep your lamps trimmed and burning. Keep your lamps trimmed and burning. Keep your lamps trimmed and burning, for the time is drawing nigh. Your lamps trimmed, they're ready. You got oil in your lamps. Back then, they used to put oil in their lamps. Keep them burning. Keep them ready. Be alert. Be ready. Be prepared, because people do run out of coins. Shops do run out of coins. When you go online, you'll see there was a time when they had no copper at all. Most of the sellers are out of copper, Honor is saying. Thank you. Do what you can. Thank you, Brother Larry Bolton. God bless you. Heaven smile on you. He is a great friend of Chief Max, and he's a moderator for Chief Mac. He says to get foreign currencies, go to Banknote World, AppMax, Great American Coin Company, 100 trillions. That's 100 trillions.com. Thank you so much, Brother Larry, for helping the Soul Tribe. Have I heard that I've heard that the IQD revalued a while ago, and we even talked about one of the exchange rates that it allegedly revalued at behind the scenes. Yes, I have heard that. It just hasn't happened, like officially, and is not trading on the Forex yet that we know of. Sister Janine, our moderator, says, Doc, I went to Lowe's and bought copper last month so I can barter with it. Be careful of the stock market, Peter Ford says, because the stock market is attached to fiat dollar in the old system. And we already saw it take a plunge. We saw the stock market take a plunge on the same day as cryptocurrencies and silver and gold and a major bank. And we reported on that. And that was the financial black swan event that led right up to or happened right around the Epstein files being released. The stock market very well could collapse. Be careful, be mindful. That's my report for this evening, family. We've had our broadcast system announcement, emergency broadcast system announcement, but there very well may be one that will come on by the president that will say it's over. I've enjoyed having you all here. Thank you so very much, family. I appreciate you taking the time to comment, leave remarks, leave encouragement. I appreciate you taking the time to listen and to share intel, because we're all in this together. We used to say, where we go one, we go all. If you're interested in joining our private group on tomorrow, we are going to talk about alternative monetary systems. We're going to answer the question, does the Epstein release of files affect the RV or revaluation of currencies? And we're going to talk about many other things, because this is just a time for us to have a conversation with private members. I put the link in the chat, or you can just hit the join button on any of my videos, follow the prompts, and you're in. And we'll see you at 1 o'clock in the afternoon if you join a private group, and we might come back in the morning for our major podcast. So I appreciate you all. Sister Janine says, if you want to get in touch with Chief Mac for a consultation, he does consultations. I don't do consultations. He's the chief of the Soul Tribe. You want a consultation, or you desire to have him to create your private trust, reach out to him at unityinmotion45@yahoo.com. Thank you, Sister Janine. I appreciate you. Ali 42D says, my electrician friend gave us a ton of scrap copper wires. Eric said the exchange rates are going to be very high on these currencies about which we're speaking. You can get copper from SD Bullion if they didn't sell out by now. SD Bullion is selling on eBay. Thank you, Honor. You're welcome. You guys are amazing. You ladies and women, young men, and women and men are amazing. Did somebody put in the chat what type of foreign currencies to get? Larry Bolton told us again, Banknote World, AppMax, Great American Coin Company, 100 trillions are places from which you can get it. eBay. JM Bullion, thank you. SD Bullion, I love you too. Thank you so much. Sister Ellen said this was an epic, amazing show. Thank you. Be careful of scammers. God bless you too, Sister Ellen. I love you. The VND is the Vietnamese dong. The IQD is the Iraqi dinar. Those are currencies. Thank you, Brother Eric. You can get Groovy says Venezuelan Bolivar, the Iraqi dinar, Venezuelan dinar. Thank you so much, Groovy. I appreciate you so much. Sister Janine says the Zim, that's the Zimbabwe Zim. That's a bond. At the top left-hand corner, it says this is a promise to pay the bearer upon demand. Is written on government bond paper. It is a bond like word is bond. Those will be redeemed possibly through the United States Treasury Department. I'm not sure exactly where, but I thank Sister Janine for sharing that with us. She said the Zimbabwe Zim, the Iraqi dinar, the Vietnamese dong, and the Venezuelan bolivar. You're welcome, Sister Sheila. It's good to see you. Ty Speaks got silver and gold backs. He's ready. Zim, thank you, Brother Peter. You're welcome, Sister Linda. I appreciate you, Ham. Victoria says the VES, which is the Venezuelan currency, the bolivar or the fuertes, both of them are Venezuelan currencies. The Zimbabwean Zimbabwean agro checks or agro bearers, what Victoria calls them. The $1 trillion bonds are the Zimbabwean Zim notes. Agro checks. Thank you, Alexander. Make sure you don't just hold USD, but I will tell you, my son Dex Lattimore, the economist, says also hold USD because a lot of things are going to come crashing before we move into the new financial system. While everything's crashing, if you have some dollars on hand, like silver went from $119 to $77. If you had cash on hand, you can go buy more. When the houses now, commercial properties are they're vacant now at malls, many office buildings. Why? Because after COVID, a lot of these businesses collapsed. They ended. They went away for good. A lot of company CEOs filed bankruptcies unbeknownst to most people, because many of them were implicated in the Epstein files way before the files came out. They knew their time were up, and a lot of people doing online shopping. All of this was orchestrated. So you got a lot of commercial property also that's vacant because a lot of the immigrants and migrants who had businesses that they were running in there were either self-deported or got deported. If you have USD on hand and you see these commercial properties come up, you can go buy them. You see houses, you can go buy them. You got extra cash on hand, you can go get some copper and add that and zinc or something else to your coffers. The Indian rupee, the Indian rupee, what's the rupiah? Indonesian rupiah and the Indian rupee, as well as the Zimbabwe agro checks. Thank you, Sister Janine. Most of the foreign currencies that are sold by the companies which we name are good. And I've been told that it doesn't matter if it's circulated or uncirculated. The best thing to do is to ask the dealer or only get from online dealers that will sell you the currency with a certificate of authenticity or COA. But if it's uncirculated, I think I personally I'm good with it because I feel like I know it's real because it's uncirculated, it's been used. But uncirculated, circulated doesn't matter. As far as I know, the years don't matter. But if anybody knows any better information, then please put it in the chat. Alexander says, if you haven't joined the Soul Tribe, you might want to join SAP. Thank you so much. You can just hit the join button on any of the videos. And I also put it in the chat and you're in. Follow the prompts and you're in. We talk extensively just to each other about foreign currencies and investments and family mission and vision statements, a lot of things. If you visited Colombia and I would just keep the currency from any country that I've been to, including Colombia. It takes a village to raise a child. Sister Janine said the Pango. This is something that the Soul Tribe membership talked about a long time ago, a while ago, I would say. So we were ahead of the crowd before people start really getting into the Pango. We share information before everybody else does. So, Big Balance says, stop spending your change. Keep your coins. Can you have the link? Okay, to the Soul Tribe? Yes. To join the private group? Absolutely. And of course, we're not trying to coerce or, force anybody to do. It's only for people who want to, desire to. Victoria says first dinar, second Vietnamese dong, third Indonesian rupiah, fourth Victoria's naming them: dinar, Vietnamese dong, Indonesian rupiah, fourth Iranian rial, fifth Venezuelan bolivar, sixth Zimbabwean zambons. These currencies revalue. Sister Victoria believes in this order. I feel like they're going to revalue at the same time, but we do appreciate your take on it too, because we're better safe than sorry. Brother Eric says if it's uncirculated, you get more money. Typically, you get more money if it went under the old area. I know that because collectors value pristine notes. But as it relates to banks exchanging your currencies, if you travel to a country and you come back with currency and one is more tattered than the other, you don't typically get more money for one than the other that I know of. But Victoria says, oh, that's according to Chris Dowling's channel. Okay, well, thank you. So good information. Here's the link to join the private membership group. And that's it, family. It's over for the deep state. We are creating our own banks, family banks, with whatever money we have. How much should you get? Whatever you can afford, whatever you understand after you do your research, and whatever is in your budget to afford. Whatever you're supposed to have, you're going to have. This is a very, very spiritual event, a spiritual time. You're going to be able to get whatever you can. Join in the Soul Tribe if you want the best information. Thank you for being a new member, Groovy. We're so happy to have you. Thank you so much. God bless you. Heaven smile on you. I'm so excited for you joining. So, family, do what you can to create your own family bank. Your family and your children and your posterity will be so happy that you did this. They will be so happy that you're ready. They will be so grateful that you cared enough, about your bloodline, because this is typically the way it used to be. The tribe took care of its own. What's a tribe except family members all together? Your family, your tribe, your group of family members. So your tribe could be your family and your bloodline, or your tribe can be comprised of other families that your community, other families put together in a tribe. You may decide to barter together. So let's get our personal houses in order and our personal family in order, because we want society to be better. Society, as the economist Dex Lattimore says, is built upon healthy, thriving societies are built upon healthy, thriving communities. Healthy, thriving communities are built upon healthy, thriving families. Why do you think they have us all fractured? Families all fractured and scattered. People saying they don't need each other because alone and isolated, you're left vulnerable and easier to control, manipulate, to be depressed, to be alone, to starve. But when you have your family intact and your tribe and community intact, you can help each other, instead of relying on strangers and the government and the school system and doctors. Doctors are good, but what happened to our medical practitioners and our communities, our healers, our herbalists? As we said earlier, we've peeked behind the curtain. We see that it's a bunch of nefarious beings, some of which are not even human, running everything. A bunch of people with cameras surveilling us, just like they did the gentleman on the Truman Show. That even affirming it, the things we see that's projected in the sky, some of that's fake. They have a dome up there projecting certain things, making us think certain things are above our head, and it's not. Just like the Truman Show. But again, somebody's going to alert us. Hello, good morning. It's over for us. Might not never see you again. And if I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Bye-bye, Soul Tribe. Rest well. I'll see you on the other side. Peace. And so.
Dr. Kia shows the way to a brighter, freer day. From currencies to investments divine, she's helping her tribe to realign with wisdom, ancient and new, showing what we all can do. Soul Tribe rising, hear her call, raising vibrations for one and all. Dr. Kia shows the way to a brighter, freer day. Soul Tribe rising, hear her call, raising vibrations for one and all. Dr. Kia lights the way to a new and brighter day.
Good night, Soul Tribe. I'll see you on the other side. Mwah. Rest well. Take care. Good night.